in a minute. Don't dare ref. That she got the ball. Yes, good evening, Spurs fans all around the world, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur for our Europa League Final preview show, which I absolutely cannot wait to get underway. Me and Drew have been sitting backstage for about 2 hours, sitting here waiting for this to get going. And after a season of more downs than ups, injuries and emotion, we've reached the biggest night in years for Tottenham Hotspur. 17 years, our last trophy, 41 years since our last bit of European silverware. But despite it all, here we are in Bilbao, Tottenham versus Manchester United. And as you can see today, we've got an absolute brilliant panel full of passion. So let's dive into it all. The tactics, the team, the manager, the emotion, the stakes, everything else. And ask the questions that every Spurs fan has been thinking of in the build-up to this game. So guys at home, grab your lucky scarf, pour your beer, and let's get into it. I'm absolutely buzzing. Look, let's start with the panel. We'll go around the house actually before I do. But for all you Spurs supporters tuning in at home, how are you watching the final tonight? Will you be at the stadium in Bilbao? Are you tuning in from one of the fan parks, gathering at home, or in one of your local pubs? And what pre-match superstitions did you conduct today? Lucky scarf, pre-game prayers, etc. So let us know what you've been up to today. Guys, the countdown is nearly over. Just hours away from the Europa League final. We'll start with you, Jack. What's going through your mind right now? Is it nerves? Is it hope? Are we daring to dream or bracing ourselves? How are you truly feeling heading into this game?
The only thing I'm nervous about is just how cool as a cucumber I'm feeling, ahead of this final. It seems like not many fans are really that nervous. We're just etching for this to happen, just to get this game over with and get that trophy back to London, Dave. I got my pints of coffee, got my donuts, got my pints for later on all settled in, and I'm just ready to get this one over with. It just seems like Spurs fans, are far more up for this, are just ready to win this thing. It's actually kind of a little bit eerie to just see us, this confident, but it's probably for very, very good reasons. And we'll get into that. But yeah, Dave, good to be alongside so many friendly faces and familiar faces, and the very last rodeo of the season, the very last big one, the last roller coaster.
Well, it's the last hurdle. Look, we have a chance to really change the narrative around our season moving forward. Hopefully we can take that today. For me, do you know what? It's a bit bittersweet, Don't get me wrong. I think everything in the universe was telling me I had to be here today. This is where I would be best served. But I had tickets to the final. I tried to plot a way out to Bilbao the last 2 days. Jack, you know me. I've barely been available to do any content. I've been trying to plot routes here, there, and everywhere. But look, for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. And I'm looking at everybody out there now, the scenes, the joyous occasion. I'm a bit jealous, don't get me wrong. But what I think is most impressive is seeing how Spurs fans have turned out in numbers. It's absolutely unbelievable, the faithful that's gone out there. And it just makes me think everybody thinks this is our time. But look, down to you, Drewski. I mean, how are you feeling heading into this game, buddy?
But I mean, like you said, we were backstage. I didn't get much sleep. Haven't had much sleep the last couple of days, and I'm just looking forward to it, dude. Like I said, I think the antsiness isn't nerves or anxiety. It's just I just want kickoff. I'm just excited. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what we do. It would be just like us to actually finally start turning it on. Last game of the season, or second to last game of the season, penultimate. But yeah, certainly the most important. I can't wait, man. Can't wait to get going.
Look, me and you were in the back end for 2 hours beforehand, singing songs and everything else. We're absolutely pumped for this game. On to you, Dermotron. Look, in fairness, the quarterfinals, final or semi-finals. Despite my nervousness heading into games, you sort of said, Dave, don't worry about we're making there. But then you rock up today. You say you're a bit nervous, Tron.
I'm saying to you, I can remember when we won in '84, and I remember how I felt then, and I feel the same then as I feel now. Little Dermotron, hyper excited. Spurs are on the way to Wembley. We're going to win it. We're going to win the UEFA Cup. We're going to win that European trophy. We've got I had Chaz and Dave playing all morning. I had Chaz and Dave playing all the Tottenham songs. I've rewatched the '84 UEFA Cup final last night. I had to live through that.
That's a regular occurrence, Phil.
Yeah, it is. Watching Glenn Hoddle's greatest goals, watching everything, the road to Bilbao. And I have said from the quarterfinals, we beat a Dutch side and a German side. We did it in '84 and we won the final. We're going to do it again. We're doing what we did in '84. Sonny's going to be like Graham Roberts and pick up that UEFA Cup. And Andrew's going to win his first trophy with Tottenham, our first European trophy in 41 years. We're going to be kings of Europe, and Man United are going to go home and cry to their mammies because they are little babies. Go on, you Spurs.
Do you know, I almost just feel like it means a lot more to us. I think we've got a lot more numbers out in Bilbao. And, even the way there's, two teams are choosing to celebrate it. We're going to parade it down the highway and they want to do a barbecue behind closed doors. I'm almost embarrassed about it. But Steve, we were speaking before this. You're a bit like me heading into this game. You're sort of calm. You feel like we're going to do it. There's no real nerves heading into this. You're a believer, right?
Oh, 100%. And this has a completely different feel from 2019. Where I think there was a lot of nervous energy heading into that final versus this one where, we have the element of the fact that we've essentially owned Manchester United this entire season. There's nothing to fear from that aspect. But I think today, more than anything, is all about the fan bases, whether you're in my hometown of Seattle, Washington, or on the East Coast. It doesn't matter where you're at in this beautiful country, or if you're one of my homies north of the border in Canada. Today is all about a global united front of Spurs fans getting behind this team in Bilbao, so we can, at the same time, give the biggest middle finger to all the haters out there, all the detractors that have gone out of their way to make this week about what we can't do instead of what we're going to do.
Do you know what? Usually what makes me nervous sometimes is everyone else is sitting there waiting for Tottenham's failure. But you know what? I sort of think when you look at the unity between the players and manager, there is a point within them that they want to prove everybody wrong. They want to rewrite this narrative around Tottenham Hotspur, and it actually gives me a bit more confidence. I feel like going into the 2019 Champions League final, you know, that squad had so many near misses. There was a weight of expectancy, you know, hope and emotion attached to it. I think this time around, it's a bit different. I don't think anyone feels that really emotionally attached to it as we did in 2019. But I do think, you know, within the camp, their motivation is different. They want to prove people wrong, and I think it might work out in our favor. Before we head down to Soren and let him explode, I know he's been bouncing around for about a week for this. We'll check into Donovan over here in Canada. I mean, look, you're dressed like you're going to manage on the sidelines tonight. How are you feeling?
Lads, I'm absolutely bricking it, but quietly confident. Jack's confident. I'm quietly confident. Don't give score predictions too soon, but hit me on the pre-match just listening to the Paratici on Sky Sports, and we could actually do these guys in, man. Like, there's a chance that this could be a penultimate frustration, the release of everything that happened this season, like you said, the anger, the frustration, the narrative that's constantly like formed against Tottenham Hotspur as a football club, its agenda. You saw that pre-match between those two pundits at Sky Sports, and even the bloody starting lineup figures were red. You know, for Tottenham, you know, we're not a red club, but why are our players' names in red here? They're trying to just subtly throw United at us, right? They're just trying to throw this narrative, you know, like, you know what, let's throw red. But no, lads, Fergie nailed the coffin when he said, lads, it's only Tottenham. They're going to go into this final thinking it's only Tottenham, right? And we're going to bloody roll them over. So I think we're all just waiting for that first rest to go. And yeah, thank you, Dave and Jack, for everything you've done this season, you know, uniting us all, you know, getting our voices out here. All parts of the globe, all different fan bases coming together as one. And I think you nailed it on the head. I think this is where our voice is best well served for the Spurs fan base. So thank you. You did have tickets to go to the final, so, you know, sacrifice, man.
No, you know, if I found a way there, I would have abandoned every single one of you today. And I would have been, I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm not going to lie. But, you know, I think it was just the universe, you know, because I was looking to have to go to Brussels, take a 23-hour bus journey down and shit like that. I was getting into insanity. And, you know, your boy, he can barely speak English, let alone 3 or 4 different languages to be able to navigate my way through. So in the end, it just didn't work out. But look, you know, we win here today. I get to head straight over to the Outlab. We get to celebrate. So, you know, I'm absolutely buzzing about that. But Soren, I mean, how are you feeling, lad, heading into this final? You know, someone may be saying, oh, winning this trophy today, it will just sort of paper over the cracks. But, you know, some like myself or Jack maybe would say it could be a culture shifting, era-defining moment for the football club.
There is absolutely no frigging negativity going to come out of my mouth tonight. We are going all the way. I have been sitting and talking to Dermatron for the last year. And mate, I am telling you, he's going to be so level-headed tonight compared to me. We're doing it. We're lifting the cup. Sonny is going to lift the cup. Come on, we're going to Bilbao. We're going to lift the cup and we're the Tottenham boys.
Oh, man. Absolutely love it. No, in fairness, do you know what? You've been confident all along as well. So I've got a question lined up and I can't actually wait to hear your answer on that. You know, maybe one moment you looked at and said, you know, yeah, we're getting there off the back of it. You have been confident all the way through. And look, hopefully we can get over the line tonight. You know, at times, yourself, Dermot, you've sort of dragged me through some of these, you know, qualifying games, knockout games and stuff like that, where maybe I was a bit nervous. So hopefully we can get over the line tonight. There's going to be some outpour of emotion, especially with how this season has been. There's been so much negativity attached to it. If we win, the release of energy is almost going to be euphoric. I almost feel like UEFA are going to do everything in their power not to let us win, just so that we can unleash that dangerous, euphoric, you know, atmosphere that we're going to create tonight if we do get over the line. But look, I do want to take a moment just to welcome a lot of you guys in at home as well who've been here with us on the journey. And then we are going to crack on. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. A bit about Postecoglou. We're going to talk about, of course, about team selection, maybe formation without the likes of Kulusevski, Madison, Bergvall, players like that. And then a lot about Son and Davies as well, more so Son, because Davies probably won't play tonight, but more so Son, you know, the fact that he's chose to stuck around. He's gone through the hard times to see us through to this moment where, as much as I love the guy, players like Kane, Eriksen sort of bailed in pursuit for success elsewhere. So, you know, we have a lot of discussions. And, of course, the big one, good Son start tonight. So we have plenty of stuff to talk about in the build up to this final, but we're going to do a quick run through and make sure we get everybody in. Big up, Stu. Great to see you. Gabrielle won. Hopefully you're keeping well. We also have Andrew Elvin in the house. It's 12:45, and I'm already waiting for this stream. Looking forward to the pump up with you guys. Come on, you Spurs. We're bringing the trophy home. I love that. Big up, Lisa. Oh, great to see you. So nervous and excited. Come on, you Spurs. Let's make history. Dermotron has been very, very kind and gifted out 2 channel memberships. Let me see where they have gone to. The lucky recipients are and Simon Gooding. So, guys, make sure you thank Dermot for the generosity. As you can see, Dermot already getting trigger happy and pumped up before he's even joined. He wasn't even in the back end and he was doing this. So big up, Dermot. Make sure you get in there and thank him, guys. And he's also sent in a super sticker with writing on a pad. I'm not sure what that says. Maybe I'm just going to say it says we are one big army heading into tonight's game. So big up Dermatron on that. Really appreciate the generosity, my man. And we had a great time in London as well. It was good. So I really appreciate that, buddy. We've got the Sporting Journey. Good afternoon, Jack Dave. Here's hoping Tottenham can do the business tonight. Great to see you. We've got Kerry King. Come on, you Spurs. I've got Spurs earring, Spurs shirt, and Spurs cap on. Currently sitting at my desk working. So excited. Let's do this. Honestly, you're just missing the scarf, my man, to be honest with you. I think you might have to dip out on your lunch break and go and get that and really, make sure you're fully Spurs and Spurs socks as well. Maybe jocks as well. Diggs says, let's hope they turn up tonight, put in a professional performance for the fans. And give us a show. It's because of the shit show this season. You're absolutely spot on. We've got Dan Needham in the house. Great to see you. Dark Sung G also says, come on, you Spurs. Let's win today and give Son and Davies a trophy. Absolutely spot on. Stateside footy. Big up, Steve. We've got Darth Hotspur. Big up to all. AK Shegs. Great to see you as always. Mark Pieces. Can't wait, boys, for one night. Everyone forget your views and get behind Ange and the boys. We're going to do this. Absolutely spot on, man. And look, I fully encourage everybody to do the same. At the end of the day, we all have our thoughts on the manager, the recruitment team, the individual players, etc. But at the end of the day, it's the name of the football club that we're here to support, and that's what we're getting behind tonight. So let's park everything else aside. Big up, Mark P. Spot on. AK Shake says 8 a.m. in California, wear my beautiful green Solanke kit. Absolutely love that. And that was a very popular kit of choice actually at the Palace game. Everyone was wearing it. Shem Thomas says, hey Jack and Dave, big game today. Hope you're both doing good and not stressing out today. Seems to be either Chris Cowling interviews everywhere or Sim Weir Tottenham TV sneaking to every sport. Sky Sports. So what you're saying, Sim is simping around trying to wait for the interview, wait for the call up. No, I absolutely love Sim. The 2 boys probably just be bouncing around. I seen Ben hoisted on shoulders out there last night and everything. Absolutely loving their life. Wembley won. Good to see you, my man. You're a constant around here. How are you feeling heading into today's game? I wish I could be as confident as everybody else seems to be, but big up to you guys and all in the chat. The only place to be for the build-up to a game of this magnitude.
Very
Come
kind.
on, you Spurs. Do you know what? Look, my dad's really nervous. I was on the phone to my dad this morning. He's super nervous. And even he's sort of done up his little area as well. He's got the scarf out, everything else. But he's really nervous about tonight. And look, I do think, with many, it is approaching a point where they sort of just need something, that bit of positivity to get behind again. And, that bit of guidance. And if we can get over the line tonight, you watch people follow on from there. But look, I can understand the nerves heading around tonight. Look, this could be absolutely defining for this football club. If we lose, which I don't even want to manifest, your best players go. There's a lot of change in the boardroom, transfer strategies, manager, etc. A lot of change heading into next season with a bang average squad. If we win, all of a sudden you're in Champions League football. Your pool of players you can buy in is a lot better. You keep your best players as well. So there's so much riding on this for Tottenham's future. And the biggest thing is, you look at the teams queuing up to try and get in Champions League now. Our squad is miles off that regardless of the manager we bring in. So it's going to take us a few seasons to get back to that, especially if we lose our best players. So it's imperative we get over the line tonight, Wembley won. Good to see you in the house. We've got Joseph. He says, this is massive, lads. No better time. Opportunity to win this trophy. We can do it and must win tonight. Big up all. Good to see you. Looper Cal, great to see you, my man. He says he's terrified. No need to be, my man. We're doing it. Tottenham Rangers says up the Spurs. Big up, my man. Good to see you. Wayne Bonner when the Spurs go marching in. I don't know how many times I've played that one today. We've also got David Tanzel in the house. Massive game. Let's do it. J-Max in the building. Great to see you, lad. We've also got Iceman. Game day absolutely buzzing. Big up, Dave and Jack and everyone in chat. Great to see you. NJ32. Scotty Hynam. Danny, great to see you. We've also got Mark New, SDFC. Always good to see you. Simon or Sleepy Mocha. Great to see you. We've also got Joe in the house. Big up, Joe. Pedro Mendez, as always, great to see you. Spin Rickwood as well, my man. Great to see you in here. We've got Tom Shaw. Honestly, they're out in Bilbao in numbers, and they're here in the chats in numbers as well. Spurs fans are absolutely rip-roaring and buzzing to go tonight. Big up Lily White India, Kev Williams. Great to see you as well. Ghosted. Good to see you, my man. James, great to see you. We've got Georgie Hill. Says, big up, lads. Today is the day we end our trophy drought and lift the European trophy for the first time in 41 years. Let's go smash them red idiots. Do you know what it is, Georgie Hill? I almost feel like Man United don't deserve it. You know, you look at the way they're treating the build up to this. They stayed in Manchester doing the training while we got out there on the pitch in Bilbao. You know, if they want to celebrate it, they're doing a barbecue where you can only invite so many people. We're going to be doing a trophy parade. You know, they're almost embarrassed by being at this stage and potentially winning this. To us, this is absolutely everything. And like you said, a 41-year wait. People like my dad, Dermot, don't really want to put Steve, Soren, and Drew in there, but potentially them as well, you know, all the way back to 84, you know. It's why they love this club. They have amazing memories like that. Now it's my generation's turn. The likes of me, Jack, you know, Donovan. It's our turn now, guys, and I can feel it in the air tonight, Georgie Hill. Good to see you. Eddie, great to see you, lads. It's Man United. Well, look, that's what they used to say when it was only Tottenham, my man, didn't they? It's only Tottenham. That was a famous speech by Sir Alex Ferguson. Big up, Eddie. Keep it calm today. I know you want to go around telling everyone you said about Postecoglou.
Bouncing off the walls.
Keep it calm until the game's over, Eddie. Big up. Big up, Andy. Wilson T. Wisdom as well. Tempers Designs. Honestly, there's so much people. I'm way behind. I'm just going to sort of try and keep up with the chat, guys, and just keep it moving because I am way, way behind. Big up, P-Dubs. Good to see you there. And then we'll crack on with the panel. We've got Lee Harvey. Big up, Lee. Good to see you in the house. He says, evening, Dave, Jack, and panel. Nervous as hell. Really hope we can do it tonight. I was there in 84. Wow. So come on, you Spurs, and show everyone we can win. You know, you had some night that night, especially with Danny Thomas missing.
Today's not the day for it.
Tony Parks, you know, making the save. Do you know what? I was watching it the other day, and when Danny Thomas missing the penalty, you know, the way the Spurs fans sort of sang his name and stuff like that, you know, it was absolutely unbelievable. Spine-tingling. And I sort of sat there asking myself, would that happen in today's day and age? And I don't think it would, you know, where people, you know, if say, for instance, if Johnson missed the penalty or, you know, who's another player that people sort of have problems with, I don't know, Madison missed the penalty, say, yeah, the two buddies. If one of them missed the penalty, Spurs fans would be going absolutely ballistic. There's no way we'd be singing their name and stuff like that. But
Dave, can I just add something to that super chat? In 84, we were missing our big players. Perriman, Glenn Hoddle. We were missing pretty big players in that 84. There's so much similarities between this UEFA Cup final and 1984. It really does. Everything is aligning. We're missing big players for this game. We miss big players for that game. Keith Birkinshaw left the club that night. Is Ange going to leave? Everything's sort of match. I don't know if you agree, Soren, but everything is pointing towards 84. And that's why I think we're going to win. Sorry, I didn't mean to overtalk you. I just had to mention that with that super chat. But everything's going towards 84. It's just pointing that way. So, yeah. Sorry.
Well, look, you know, like you pointed out, Birkinshaw left after the 84 final, you know, so, you know, it's sort of similar feeling around it. Big up Jacob Anderson as well. Good to see you. But big up, Lee. Really appreciate the support, my man. Look, no need to be nervous. Crack open a beer. That'll help settle the nerves, Lee. Big yourself up, my man. Big up Jacob Anderson as well. And then my dad also says, as the day wears on, I'm getting more confident, lads. I'm going for a 4-1 win. We will take our frustrations out on them tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Maybe you're just not a morning person, you know, because we were on the phone this morning. He was super nervous. But, you know, maybe my confidence, because I told him, I said, don't worry. We got this. We're going to get over the line tonight. You know, I don't see anything else happening. So big up that. Make sure you got the big Spurs tanker in the freezer warm, you know, nice and cool for the drinks tonight.
Get some Holstons in. Get some Holston pills in, for the game.
Well, do you know what? I wonder will he skip the likes of the Guinness and the cider and probably go straight into the whiskey, JD and Coke maybe. Big up Levy Towers. Fasten your seatbelt, fellas. Protecting a crazy 3-3 jaw until gets the winner in extra time. Do you know what? I am seeing a lot of people saying, talking about extra time and penalties, etc. Look, for me, I don't want it. I want us to get a job done over in 90 minutes so that we can just sit here and vibe out. If it goes into extra time and penalties, that's when I will start becoming nervous. You'll probably see me go faint white, probably pass out a few times. We need to get it done in 90 minutes tonight, Levy Towers. Big yourself up. My missus already said I can't have any fizzy drink during the game. I have to drink water because she knows with my heart rate and everything else. So big up, Levy Towers. Great to see you in the building. Hopefully you're keeping well. But guys, I want to go around the panel, you know. I mean, before we get into, you know, how people think the players are looking at the training videos, the barbecue and stuff, looking back on this Europa League journey, what has been your standout moment or memory across this campaign? And everybody at home, all 600 watching, put yours in there as well. Look, I'll kick it off. For me, I think the night in Elfsborg, you see Mikey Moore grab his first goal for the club, Dane Scarlett and Ajayi as well. You know, a night where the youngsters really stepped up, contributed to this campaign, and maybe almost said to the club, you've got to take a look, or a decent look, at what's coming through. Then you also take into account Will Lancashire's first goal for the club along the journey as well. For me, that's my standout, is the youth stepping up for Tottenham when we needed them to the most.
That's a good one, Dave. I mean, you think about it, we actually needed every point in that group stage or whatever league, you know, stage. And the boys, you know, the young lads definitely contributed. For me, though, it's got to be the Frankfurt away game. You know me, I love a dirty, defensive-minded, you know, pragmatic performance. And, you know, we've really got that from this team. And I think it was that sign to me that maybe this is going to be a special season, because we showed two sides of ourselves. We absolutely dominated Frankfurt in that first leg, deserved so much more from it, you know, than just the 1-goal lead. But then we had to show, listen, you're going to have to find another way to get over this, you know, get over the line here against this team. And we did that. And it gave me that special feeling that this could be a very, very special season for Spurs, that we were showing a different side to ourselves. And everybody wrote us off, including, I would say, nearly half the fan base was writing ourselves off in that Frankfurt away game. And we got the job done. And in my opinion, in a very convincing way. And that was probably just a special, special evening. Just to see a different side to Spurs, but also just to see us go into a lion's den, kind of like a Galatasaray kind of sort of venue. You know, Frankfurt, I think they're one of the most, you know, crazy fan bases in Germany. And we were able to get the job done there. And it kind of felt like, you know what, this is going to be a special campaign, you know. And like I said, because so many people wrote us off even just for that game alone. So yeah, Dave, the moment that ball crossed the line from Solanke's penalty and Madison winning it, and, you know, that was just a special, special evening. And seeing the players celebrate it too, it was very special.
No, it wasn't. You know what? That game right there said, you know, we showed a different side to Tottenham that maybe we haven't seen for large parts of this season. And it sort of said to me, do you know what? We can replicate this away from home, or even potentially in the final. We've got a massive chance. Absolutely brilliant one to pull out. My dad's on the cider already. Then it's followed by Tennessee Sours. Well, enjoy them. Enjoy them, that's for sure. They'll be tasty, all right. Good eye, and a bit of ice in them as well. My old lad also says Sonny with 2, Johnson with 1, and Polo with 1. He's gone with a big score tonight, 4-1. He's absolutely pumped. Maybe he's off on the cider now. I'm really messing. Enjoy yourself. This is what life is all about, moments like these. But guys, you know, Jack's touched on the Frankfurt one. I've maybe peeked out the night in Elfsborg, you know, with the youngsters. What's been? We'll head down onto you next, Steve. What's been one of your favorite moments along this campaign?
It was the second leg against AZ Alkmaar, and when you look at how that time, I think that time we were heading into that first leg, we had lost to Manchester City 1-0. We go to AZ for that first leg, and it was just absolutely a poor performance. There was an own goal. We head back. In that second leg, we had a disappointing showing against Bournemouth in a game that we probably should have won, but you know, we started off terribly. And then all of a sudden, there's just nothing but nervous energy. There's nothing but negativity going into that second leg, wondering whether or not AZ can finish it out. And then Wilson Odegaard puts this team on his shoulders. You know, there has been individual performances. And you mentioned the performance against Elfsborg where the youth stepped up. But again, in this situation, it was another young player that had spent the majority of the season on the sidelines with a hamstring injury. He comes back in, understands the assignment, understands the situation, knowing we have to move on. And he shows up in the absolute biggest way in that second leg against AZ Alkmaar.
That was an unbelievable night for Wilson Odegaard. Potentially, you know, brought more. I'd say Johnson was crying because it doesn't make what look like what Johnson does any more special, because Wilson Odegaard has proven that he can also do it. But do you know what? Right. For a guy that's been out injured for so long, it was definitely an amazing night for him, for sure. I mean, Dermo, on to you, my man. One of your favorite moments along this campaign?
I would have picked Frankfurt. I was with Jack. I think that was the moment I knew. That was that night I said, we're winning this. I was confident before then. I thought, no, after that, we're winning this. So I would have to go, and the togetherness after that semi-final, seeing all the players together, the manager, Ange waving to the crowd, the love from the fans to the players and Ange and everything. But yeah, Frankfurt for me, 1-0 away. Solanke gets that penalty. And it was the way James Maddison won that penalty as well. It was like, I'm going in sort of thing. I'm going to get that ball. And it was the determination, and you just knew something special from that night onwards. This is ours. So yeah, for me, Frankfurt 1-0. I agree with Jack. I think that's the stand-up moment, 1-0 away from me.
Unbelievable for Solanke as well. Calmness on the spot, considering he hadn't scored for so long as well. So much pressure on it, and he just delivers it nice and cool. We'll ask Donovan as well. We'll get your favorite moment along this European campaign.
Well, you took it with the youngsters off the bench. So I think it'd be carrier bag when we beat that team. I think just getting over the line against an opposition, no name, unfortunately, I forget where they're from, Azerbaijan or something. No disrespect, but the fact that Spurs have historically have made a mockery of these results and losing these ties, just going at it willy-nilly, and it seems that Ange and the players have taken this competition very seriously right from the get-go, as Ange does any piece of silverware he plays for. So, so just seeing the level of professionalism kind of through this whole campaign not really drop and the contrast differences between the Premier League and the Europa League too, because like if we can do it in the Premier League, if we can just translate over to the Premier League next season, then that's a different conversation. But so just carrier bag game for me.
Yeah, what sticks out in my mind was Radu Dragusin getting sent off for not being able to control the football. But at the end of the day, it is what kicked off the Europa League run. We went down to 10 men, and we still found the answers to score goals on the evening, and that's what counts at the end. It's part of the reason why we're here. And then we'll get Soren and Drew's favorite moments along this campaign as well, and then we'll kick on.
I don't think I've got one particular. I think there's two that stand out for me, and one is Frankfurt and one is Bilbao. Bodo, even forget the bloody name now. Bodo, because all our super fans out there were telling us we can't go away and win in Frankfurt, we can't go away and win at Bodo. We're going to get knocked out. We're going to get trounced. And don't think you got that one right, did you? All you in the nose. It's the fact that, like Jack said, like Dermo said, you kind of knew it was on. Once we got past Frankfurt away, the team just gelled together, and it just looked like even the team believed. You look at them in the Premiership, and they don't seem to believe. They don't believe in themselves. But in this cup, they believe in themselves. And look, don't care if we've not played any big teams. We've still won the teams we needed to win.
Do you know what on that though, Soren? I feel like, people are diminishing this run, right? I'd argue this run was harder than the one under Jose Mourinho. People forget the teams we played. Lask Linz, who's ever heard of them? Nobody. Maccabi Haifa, no one's ever heard of them. Who else did we? Antwerp, okay, I can see, but again, not a great opposition. Then we end up playing Wolfsberger, not even a team from Germany, by the way. We were mocking them left, right, and centre, and they got knocked out by Zagreb. This season we've played AZ Alkmaar 3 times, Frankfurt twice, a Bodo Glimt team who have took big scouts in Europe. We've also played Galatasaray, Rangers. This run has been a lot harder than the run under Jose Mourinho.
Even with that, though, Dave, even if we haven't played anybody in particular, as some of the fans want to tell us, it's probably a harder game to play these teams that aren't maybe top class, because you've got to get yourself up for these games. It's easier to get yourself up for the bigger boys and go through. But look, favourite moment is going to be about 10 o'clock tonight when Sonny's lifting that cup, and that's my favourite moment of this season, when Sonny lifts the cup tonight, because he's going to do it. Don't care what anybody says. I can be delusional. I might have been snorting something off the tape. I haven't really, don't worry. But we are going all the way tonight, baby, and it's our year. It's the year of the cockerel. Let's just go.
It seems to be the year of the birds. That's what people are pinning it up as, people breaking their curses. Harry Kane broke his. Now it's Tottenham's time. Just a couple of quick shout outs, and then we'll get Drew's, and then I'll get back to other chats. Nick, shout out to LA Spurs. Big up. The Outlad's favourite moment is seeing Spurs fans take over Bilbao. It's absolutely amazing. Says we've got the best fans in the world. That we do. Danny Taylor says, big up, lads. Heading to the fan zone in a minute. Quick shout. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Danny. And then Rich says, going to be on the Tottenham High Road this evening.
Come on.
Well, if we win, I will see you out there on the High Road on Friday. Big up,
Dave,
Jerry.
I will be with you. I will be with you. I'm coming with you.
A big up, Mr. Shire, as well. Hopefully
Legend.
You're getting better, my man. Great to see you in the house. But sorry, Drew, let's get your favourite moment along this Europa League campaign. You've spent all of it with us, just like everybody else here. What's been your highlight?
I'll be honest with you. I think Soren's just stolen my thunder, as he should, being being as closely related as we are.
Your brothers.
He's taking the words out of my mouth. Like, just being told that the last 2 rounds we were incapable of doing anything because we were just a shambles, and sort of somewhat proving people wrong. I mean, as I said, it does not condone the behaviour of this football club, based on the league form, because it's been atrocious. But we just pick and choose our battles at the moment. And tonight, the battle's in Bilbao, and the win tonight is all that matters. And then we'll, be able to maybe take a deep breath, reset, and carry on. But yeah, definitely those two, and especially just how composed we were, and just showing sort of how well we can play under that little bit of pressure, and the team being able to show that they are able to adapt to a slightly different way of playing. It doesn't have to be all, 100% all out attack. And also being able to enjoy a couple of the kids bagging a couple of goals along the way as well, that's been a good time. So yeah, all in all, man, it's been a pretty good run, and it's nice that you pointed out that it's not actually been quite as easy as people think it's been. There's like you say, there's been some decent scalps in there. So yeah, hopefully there'll be another one.
It just winds me up. It feels like, when we get to these cup finals, even when we got to the League Cup final, under Jose Mourinho, oh yeah, but look at the run and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, but guys, also look at the amount of teams we've been embarrassed by in the FA Cup, the League Cup, at the first rounds across Europe and Europa League, Conference League, etc. I mean, you can't take these for granted. Like, we've had some horrific, exits out of cup competitions, So, that's why for me, I think, I just don't subscribe to the notion that this has been an easy run. You look at Jose Mourinho's run, you look at some of the games we played in the Europa Conference League, likes of NS Moro, who we lost to, by the way. They had to pull players out of the factory, on night shift to be able to come and play the game. Fucking embarrassing, so don't take this one for granted. We've got James Coffey in the house watching on Paramount Plus with my buddy Nathan, wearing my Bissouma shirt, cautiously optimistic. I have 2 Man United loving sons, but not here today. But you know what? We need all the good positivity behind someone like Yves Bissouma tonight, because he is the player that I do worry about the most. He is prone to a head loss, prone to a mistake that leads to a goal. Saying that, he's hit form at the perfect time. He's been decent since he's come back into the side. But he is the player that does make me most nervous tonight because of the inconsistencies we've seen. However, we're fully reliant on him tonight. Postecoglou had that amazing chat with him. Said, look, Biss, I'm going to need you. And hopefully Biss has lapped it up like a dog does biscuits. Absolutely love it. And look, to the 2 United loving sons, I mean, to be honest with you, if we win, it's okay to disown them for 24 hours or 48 hours and pretend they don't exist, and just enjoy the bubble, my man. Big up, James Coffey. Great to see you. We've got Shawnee Maddox's 4-0 win incoming. Who do you think scores first and takes control of this game? Come on, you Spurs. I mean, look, general consensus is right. First goal is important.
Can I just say he's put 4-0 win to us, but who's going to score? Well, obviously it's going to be us if it's 4-0, surely.
I know, it's definitely going to be us,
I think he probably means particular player, right?
Right,
what I was going to say is, Shawnee doesn't believe in Postecoglou, so I wonder where this 4-0 is coming out.
He's always he's a bit like the Tron, he just says the 4-0 every time, no matter what his thoughts are.
I was going to say, I wonder what Shawnee's had for breakfast.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave. Yeah.
I was going to say, I wonder what Shawnee's having for breakfast. Maybe he's already having beer. But no, look, I think it's important that we score first. With us, we haven't really shown the ability to be able to bounce back once we've gone a goal down this season. Last season, we were able to show that. We were able to change games off the bench. But this season, we haven't shown that. Once we go behind, we end up losing the game. I think it's imperative that we score first. But I'd also argue, I look at Man United and I think they're not the United of the Sir Alex Ferguson era, where they were never out of a game, going into 90 minutes, even if they're 1-0 down, like the Bayern Munich final back in 99, 2 late goals to win it. That's not that United team anymore. They don't have that resolve in them. You put the pressure on them. My dad made a great point today as well. It's just the reason why Man United doing well in Europe, because it's a slower game. It's not as physical, And if we can get physical with United, put the pressure on them, they will crumble. And I was saying to him, I agree with you. I think, when you look at it, when you put pressure on that Man United team, they don't have that resilience to stand up. One of them players will do something stupid. Maguire, Lindelof, Onana, Casemiro's prone to a red card. Bruno Fernandes got sent off against us.
Yep.
They are there for the taking tonight, Shawnee. But we've got to score the first goal. Big up, my man, and really appreciate the support. And you know what? We've had a lot of back and forth this year. But if we win a trophy, we'll call it truce for 48 hours, Shawnee. Big up, my man. Eugene S., member for 9 months. My son can't be missing school for nothing. We got this. Look, school wasn't my forte. My parents had a nightmare trying to keep me in school, to be quite honest with you. But look, it's days like this, you got to take them out of school. I remember my dad took me out of primary school early, unexpected. Walks in at 12 o'clock, teacher, Dave, pack your bags, you're going home. I was like, oh, shit, what's going on? No, we're just going up to watch, I think it was actually... Was it Ireland versus USA or Ireland versus Australia? It was one of them. I think it was Ireland versus USA, actually, if I remember correctly. Was up there in the middle of October, freezing my stones off in Lansdowne Road, but it was unbelievable. Your kid will remember a day like this, especially if we win, Eugene S.
Yeah. Did you make up the goldfish? Did he make up a goldfish excuse or a sick stomach, for the kiddo? Wonder what the excuse was for today. Maybe he was just bold-faced and honest.
Honestly, I would have just said, look, European final, fuck off. He's not coming in today. Hey, I don't want to bring him in or collect him. So, he's just going to have to have the day off. That's it. Faz Radfire, 4-1 Spurs, 4-1 Spurs win guaranteed, no doubt. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Fazzy. Great to see you. As always, been positive all season long as well. Don't know how, Faz, but you've remained positive, and here we are in the final. And Davey Shaw, remember for 19 months, get age at that, Dave, and Jack Cubbers. Come on, you fucking Spurs. Big up, Davey Shaw. Hopefully you're getting better, my man. You're keeping well, you and the family. Great to see you in the building.
Legend.
Absolute legend. Good to see you back around these parts, Davo. And then we've got one here from Artist T. And I want to crack in and talk a little bit about Ange Postecoglou. He says, you were wrong with what you said yesterday about Rhino, Dave. We haven't even played, and Rhino appeared in the chat. He says, it was an easy run. Well, look, I thought in fairness, I thought Rhino, wouldn't appear until we lost. So fairness, Rhino, good to see you in the building. Hopefully you're keeping well, Rhino. But Rhino is going to say it's an easy run. He doesn't like this team. He doesn't like the manager. But I'd also say to Rhino, go and look at the run under Jose Mourinho and tell me which run was easier, and be honest about it. But big up, Artist T. Good to see you in the house as well. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Oh, we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to dissect, guys. So we're just going to keep cracking on. We're going to start with Postecoglou, and then I want to spend a bit of time talking about Sonny in the build-up to this game, and potentially Romero as well. It could be his last game for Tottenham Hotspur. Let's not forget this. But we'll start with this, and we'll start with Drew and Soren on this one first, and work our way back this time, or maybe I'll ask the others a slightly different question. But we'll start with Drew and Soren. Postecoglou is no stranger to finals, boasting an impressive 88% win rate in cup finals throughout his managerial career. But at Spurs, us fans know too well, finals aren't just about tactics. They're also about temperament heading in. For example, my dad said something after the Ajax game in 2019 when Pochettino broke down in tears on the pitch. He says, son, we've already lost the final. I was like, whoa! Come on, we're only in the final. You're already saying we lost it. But, he was absolutely correct. The experience came. He says he's too emotional, Dave. And sure enough, we were overwhelmed in Madrid. The emotional side did take its toll on us. So here's the question, guys. Does Ange's calmness and experience in these moments give you real confidence that he can guide us through the pressure? Or is the weight of 17 trophyless years at a club like Spurs a completely different kind of challenge, even for someone like Postecoglou? Because my theory is, I do think Postecoglou is handling the emotion of the occasion maybe a lot better than what Pochettino did in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, I think other than the call out in the press conference yesterday, which I think was, somewhat warranted, I guess. I mean, there's as much to say he would have done as much good for himself as just to ignore it, but I get where he was coming from. But I mean, other than that, I think he has done really, really well. And I think I don't know if it necessarily gives me more confidence, because I don't know if I've got a barometer of confidence that I can put it up against, but it does give me confidence. He's been there and done it, and one of the few things that we've got and have had, I mean, other than Conte and Mourinho, but I think they were just, the wrong types of manager. But, with Pochettino, he hadn't been there and done it. And like you said, I think your Dara has a perfect point. Like the way he lost it in the semi-final, as did all of us, it was kind of one of those, it was just a little bit too much of a celebration, like we'd already gotten there and already done it. And not even done it in the sense that we knew we would go on and win. We done it in the sense that semi-final was like almost our final already. So yeah, I definitely understand that where he's coming from. The thing, it's not just Ange, honestly, that's giving me confidence. There's a couple of these players that I just think it's a little bit different this time. I just think there's a vibe around.
Yeah.
There seems to be, or at least they're giving a very, very good impression that they're determined not to let this season be an absolute crapshoot.
Yeah.
The players, when you hear them talking, the fact that even, the amount of effort, and let's be fair, we are very, very quick to shoot down this club, especially behind the scenes, when they don't put in the effort to do any sort of thing for, especially the fans, and especially, maybe the staff and the members of the club behind the scenes that you don't really get to see or hear about. So the fact that they've put on so much for everybody, and they're trying, I genuinely think they're trying as much as they can to get a real genuine atmosphere, not just for today, I think back into the club. And I think Postecoglou's trying to do that too. I mean, I don't know if we're going to touch on it a little bit later on.
Yeah, we will.
But even in the, the presser, when somebody mentioned to him about walking away, I mean, there was kind of a vibe that absolutely not. I've got unfinished business. So, even that in itself gives me, gives me more confidence that he's not just here for another day and he's going to win a title, and then we're going to have to worry about what we're going to do. Like, I think behind the scenes they're ready to get this title and go again.
No, 100%. He's very bullish in his press conference. He had Dan Kilpatrick to answer back to, which I'm going to hold off. I know Jack really wants to come in on that. And then, and he sort of said, when he was asked about walking away, like you said, he says, why? I've got unfinished business. This will only be the start if we win the trophy. So he came out very, very bullish. But Soren, I almost get the feeling heading into this final, what Postecoglou is doing, he sort of, it's all about him heading into this final, right? His future, what the outcome of tonight means, etc., for him and stuff like that. That it's almost took the weight off, or the narrative around the 17 years, 41 years, that was going into the League Cups, under Pochettino, league title runs under Pochettino, Champions League run under Pochettino. Was all about the trophy drought. Whereas this time around, he's almost taken all the attention off that, which I actually think, gives the players an air of calmness to be able to go into the final, because there's not that attention or that weight heading into it. No one's talking about it. It's all about Postecoglou. In a way, he's took all the attention away from it.
And the players as well, isn't it?
It reminds me a little bit of Mourinho, because Mourinho used to do that. He used to take all the attention away from the players and put it on himself. And look, this is a manager that, by some of our fan base out there, have literally every time they talk about him, they insult him. There are names flying about. There are insults flying about. The media don't, just constantly insulting him. And every single time, he just keeps going and going and going. Now, it's just written in the stars for tonight that you've got a manager that's given us the worst league performance in our history, basically. And we've always said we're a cup team. All of a sudden, we're in a final of a cup. And it just feels right for him to be able to go in there tonight, win it, stick two fingers up and walk away and say, I did what I came here to. I told you all I would, and his words were, I've always won in the second season. Not I will always win. I always won. Now, half our fan base have told us he's never won a cup from a major competition or a major league or whatever. Well, tonight that's going to change, because tonight he's going to win the Europa Cup. And then, look, I'm not saying he's the best manager out there. I don't think there's anybody that could say that, but he's going to stick two fingers up to a lot of people tonight. And I'm glad. I really am glad, because it's been a painful watch this season. And it's not just when you lose, you feel shit. When you lose, you've got to put up with all the people deciding that they know better than him and things like this. And I don't know, I watched his press conference the other day, and to me, that was a resignation press conference, that he knows he's gone. I don't think there's any chance of him staying now. I think the writing's on the wall. He knows that. And he will be saying to those players tonight, look, you've all stuck behind me. We're a team. We are united. We are gelled. And this is your destiny. This is what you are playing for this season. This is the season-defining moment. And if you go out there, people are not going to ridicule this team anymore. You cannot ridicule a team that go out and win a European Cup. I mean, some people obviously will, but I don't know. To me, this is just the start of something that could be a very, very exciting period. And look, people like me and Dermo, and probably my older brother Drew.
Drew's definitely included.
Yeah, the older ugly brother, obviously.
Cheeky bastard.
Look, we've seen the glory days at Tottenham, but there are so many fans out there that,
like me,
and a lot of the noisy ones, that have never seen the real success. That don't know what it means to lift a cup. I mean, the closest most of any of the younger ones out there have got is winning that semi-final in Ajax, and the emotions that went through so many of us fans on that night. It's going to be 10 times that tonight. It really is. And I just hope that Postecoglou goes in there, keeps his calm head, and just says, we're going to win it. It's my second year. We're doing it. There is no doubt. These players believe in him still. And, how many times this season have we been told he's lost the dressing room? How many times have we been told these players aren't playing for him? You watch tonight. Sorry, no, it won't be down to Ange, will it? Because we keep getting told whenever we win, it's not to do with Ange. It's only when we lose, it's down to him. So, look, the players are going to come out tonight. They believe in him. He's going to get everything right. And we're going to win that cup. We're going to lift the trophy. Full stop.
And you're absolutely spot on. Many players, over the last couple of weeks have all come out and said they like Ange Postecoglou. They're still playing for him. And also, that's what gives us a massive chance into tonight's final. They're almost being galvanized by all the outside noise. What's disappointed me is they've sort of left the fans out of this run. It's almost like them against everybody else, us, the media, everybody else. But at the end of the day, if it gets them over the line, I have no problem with it. But look, we'll take this from Eddie. He says, Levy will become the clown if he sacks Ange after we win. Ange said he's not leaving, so the press conference wasn't a resignation one. Big up. Do you think, he's almost put the pressure back on the club by saying what he said there, Soren and Drew, about I'm not going anywhere, well, I want to continue in the job if we win?
I mean, I think it's all going to be down to the result, right? It's just going to be so much easier to just get rid of him if we don't go, get over the finish line. But I just think the ball's very much in their court if we win. And like I said, I think they've been pretty smart because they have the option afterwards that, they could sack him before the season starts. And even if there is a little bit of uproar, they can say, well, the general consensus was that we thought you guys wanted him out the door. And if if they keep him on and, it's kind of a win-win-win for them. They could do that and say, well, you guys wanted it. We could leave him in charge and he could go on and do wonderful things. They could leave him in charge. We could be in a really bad position after 10 games, which is only probably, at this point, end of October, middle of November at some point, nowadays, the way that the games come. And you could, if you absolutely needed to, make a managerial change there. And I don't think it probably at that point it's going to be too much harm. But I mean, I just hope for the best. I hope this is just going to be something that galvanizes us. And I think if we do get to where we want to be and we get qualified to the Champions League and they can spend a little bit more money than, we think they're going to, and it can be on, the right type of players because we've already got these young building blocks in place, then I think, the future can be bright. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, when I say resignation, I don't mean that he's going to resign. I just don't think there is a future for Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham Hotspur. I think there's far too much animosity against him. And look, if we win the league, if we win the cup, which I've said all along that we're gonna, and I've backed him to the hill all season, and I'm not calling for him to go, but I just don't see a future with Ange Postecoglou at the helm. And I think a lot of people have said he's put a lot of building blocks in place for this club. He's hopefully the mentality changes, and they always say the first one is the hardest one to win, and this is the first one for a long, long time. And look, everybody told us if we got to the final and won the Carabao Cup, it's a tin pot club, cup. The FA Cup, this is bigger than both of those. This is it's not the big one. It's not the Champions League.
It's the third biggest trophy you can win. You look at the Champions League, then it's the Premier League title. After that, it's better than any other, trophy around to win.
And also, so few English teams have actually won it. It's been usually Spanish teams, Italian teams that, end up winning it. So it's never been easy for Premier League teams.
And let's not forget, this could be the third time. This could be the third time. We were the first English team to win it, and this could be our third time. Well, no, this will be our third time winning it.
Come on.
So,
Well, can I, Soren, can I ask you, when you say no future, do you think, is that based on, do you think there's going to be too much pressure from the outside that the board think we've got to let him go? Or do you think even if we win, the board have decided, enough's enough? Or are they just going to about face because Paratici's coming back and he doesn't quite fancy Ange? Like, is it just a gut feeling? Or do you think one of those particular things or another thing is going to pan out?
Yeah. I think there's two things within the reasoning. I think the outside pressure, the fact that the league performances have been so terrible, the backlash against him, look, we've seen it before where we've had managers that the fans don't want, but I think it's gone a little bit further this time. You've got the insults flying against him. You've got everything that people, Postecoglou and things like this, and I just think, with that, and also with Paratici coming back, I don't think he's a Paratici style manager. I think Paratici will want to come in, and I think probably Paratici is one of the only few that Daniel Levy would maybe, shoot the gun to get rid of him, because he does believe in Paratici. You can tell that, he's stuck by him through the hard things. And I just get the feeling that was probably one of the terms that if Paratici comes in, he changes the manager, he changes the style. I don't know. I just watched that press conference the other day, and that to me screamed of a manager that knew his future already.
I think when it comes around Postecoglou, though, I think for me the big hesitation if he does say get over the line and wins it tonight heading into next season is, over the 2 seasons being here, he hasn't demonstrated that he can sustain both cup and a league side by side. Last season we went out to Fulham first game, in the League Cup. We went out early in the FA Cup. This season around, we've had to sacrifice massively in the league in order to sustain cup runs. And, one thing I've learned over the last 2 years, that just won't fly with Spurs fans. Postecoglou already lost people when we lost in the Carabao Cup last year. And look, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's all on him. I don't think the squad is good enough. This squad has been tested more than it's ever going to be tested ever again at Tottenham Hotspur. We've literally had to dip in to the under 21s and stuff. When have you ever seen a time like this at Tottenham Hotspur? And it just goes to show to me that the squad also isn't good enough to sustain it as well. But also,
Dave, how far up the league how many more points, or what position would we need to be in and be in this final for that not for the I guess maybe that not to be in question? Because I just feel like, and it's the same thing with Soren as well, and obviously, you know, I just think a big thing that's being forgotten is just how shitty the injuries have been this year, when everyone says our league position, our league situation has been poor. And it's like, I don't know. It just seems to be almost
It's clear from about 2-3 months ago, you know, when we reached the knockout phase of Europa League, we were concentrating on that. If we didn't have the Europa League, we would have concentrated on the league and we would have pushed higher up the league. But the reality is, at Tottenham Hotspur, we're a big football club. We want to compete on all four fronts. That's the remit of the fans. It's the expectations of the fans. And, you know, we can't go into another season where we're binning off one and prioritizing another. We need to learn to start competing on all four fronts. And I take your point. It's not all him. But I also sit there and question sometimes, you know, maybe we needed a guy to go through all this shit, come out the other end, and he can be the guy to sort of drag us on through a couple of successful years. I also have that side of thoughts, but I think where I really lie is the fact that he's lost a lot of the fan base along this season. And I think that's where ultimately will be the sticking point when the board come to weigh up that decision. But look, like I said, I could feel totally different tonight when we win. You know, I'm just going off how I feel now. We win, I could feel totally different tonight. But that's where I'm at with it right now. I think, you know, the board will be erring more side to letting him go rather than keeping on because of his relationship with fans. We were over there for the Palace game. It was dead. The stadium was half empty, and we're only after getting to a Europa League final, by the way. He is losing money, you know, because of this guy being in charge. A lot of people aren't going to the games. They're giving up their tickets. And once he starts hitting the club in the pockets, that's where they will ultimately end up making a decision. But anyone else want to come in on that, guys? You know, would you give Postecoglou next season if he delivers?
I was just going to ask you.
I
was just going to ask you: is that really an Ange Postecoglou problem? Right, being able to compete on all four fronts. Right. I think it's. I think it goes without saying, or anybody that pays attention to the career of Ange Postecoglou, that dude has always had high squad numbers. His squad sizes were bigger than the average squad for that. To make sure that he's covered in case of injury, and his squad cannot miss a beat. So is that, is the pattern that he hasn't been able to sustain in the Premier League or make deep cup runs really on an Ange Postecoglou, or is it, or does that fall to the responsibility of those that are above him that completely fail to understand exactly what he needs in order to succeed?
I do feel look, my own opinion. Look, I've always been a big supporter of Ange. I've been angry with him this season. I've been to the brink where I've said I've had enough. And then there's something he says or it's something he does, and it brings you right back to why you support him in the first place. And if he wins tonight, he should be given another season, because it would be suicidal. What does that give to the next manager? Okay, you can win us a major trophy, but we're going to sack you. It doesn't give the right impression. If he wins tonight, then he deserves the next season, a summer transfer window or a Paratici, the right players, and then can we move on? If he loses tonight, then fine, move on. If he wins tonight, we have to stick by him. And look, me and Dave know we're big Celtic fans. We knew the mess Celtic.
Speak for yourself, Darnell. Don't bring me into it. Make your own.
No. I'm going to say we know that we knew the mess Celtic were in when Ange took over. And I'm sick of this narrative. Oh, it's easy to win in Scotland. You have to still debate what's in front of you. You still got to beat Rangers. You still got to beat other teams. Yeah, it's not the best league in the world, I'll grant you. But he did transform that club, and he's doing the same to our club. He's transforming our club. We have to back a manager. Keith Birkinshaw got us relegated in 1977. The club didn't sack Birkinshaw, stuck by him. What did he do? Went in to win 2 FA Cups, a UEFA Cup, semi-final for Cup Winners' Cup, and a final for League Cup. We came to win 3 minutes of beating the mighty Liverpool in that league in '82 to win that League Cup. So we have to somehow stick by somebody. So if Ange wins tonight, we'll have to stick by him from next season. And I know Ryan's Ange out, but tonight's not about Ange in and Ange out. Tonight's getting behind the manager, getting behind the team, getting behind the players, everyone being one force, one united unit to win this competition. And then we can have the conversation after the game. Does he go or whatever? But between now and the match, we have to be like in 1984 as one. And that's what we were that night in 84. We were one unit, and we have to be the same tonight.
No, look, I think you're absolutely spot on. If we do win, good. The message to the next manager, if I'm walking in straight away to Tottenham, well, what is it exactly you want me to achieve here at this football club? Is it winning trophies because you sacked the manager who's won a trophy? Is it securing top four? What is the ambition? You'll be sort of confused about what the job entails. I think you're absolutely spot on there. Look, if we do win tonight and the board say, look, we're going to go into next season with him, okay, I'll see what happens, But it'd be interesting to see if they can get past the relationship sort of with the fans. But I mean, Jack, look, he's shown some people would deem arrogance at time. He did make that cold statement. I always win in my second season. If he delivers tonight, it's almost Jose Mourinho-esque, right? He walked in and said, I'm the special one. He backed it up with trophies, and the aura stuck with him, with Postecoglou. He has a chance to sort of do the same to a large degree. He's had the ear cupping with the fans at Chelsea, responding to a couple of fans away at Bournemouth, Fulham, etc. The relationship hasn't been great. But we've never come into a cup final, or I've never experienced the Europa League final, Champions League final, where the manager's under so much scrutiny heading into it. Usually it's not even a question. Usually it's about how good they are. But, with this one, it's all about him. And then he had that public spat, in the build-up to this game as well with Dan Kilpatrick, sort of clap back at him in the press conference, I'm no clown. I mean, what would you do, stick or twist, Jack? And also, how do you think he handled the press conference? Do you think, it was the right thing to do to sort of clap back, or should he have, held it in a little?
Just quickly on the press conference, I think at some point, you got to put your foot down and you have to stand up for yourself in some regard. If you're going to allow someone in an article to call you a clown and then sort of allude to that question, basically Dan Kilpatrick asked him the question that was already in his article at the very title, saying oh, do you?
He just didn't have the balls, right?
Yeah, he didn't have the balls to call him a clown in person
in the press conference. Yeah.
And so,
like so many people,
knowing that he did call him a clown, though, it's at what point, do you have to draw a line somewhere? What is someone to call him then an idiot, in the next title or something like that? You have to put your foot down at some point. So I think Ange Postecoglou did the right thing by calling out Dan Kilpatrick and in a way almost kind of embarrassing him, I think, in the way that he sort of addressed it, and then just not even really answered the question, just sort of said, listen, man, you kind of crossed the line here. And so I think that was actually fair play to Ange. Whereas other times I've said, maybe he has opened cans of worms on himself. I think he actually needed to sort of put his foot down in that case. And to a degree, maybe send a message to the rest of these journalists that have maybe done something to a similar vein to Dan Kilpatrick. When it comes to, I think your other part of the question, Dave, was, whether I would keep him. Yeah. I've said this statement before. People are welcome to think I'm delusional for this. I'm looking at it from the outside in. If Ange Postecoglou wins us this trophy, granted, there are plenty of concerns about how this season has gone. If you're the next manager being lined up that's being courted by Spurs, would you really be that enticed to come here if you've seen the way that Ange Postecoglou has been treated, the way Conte has been treated, the way Nuno has been treated, the way Jose was treated, the way it all went for every single one of them? And then Ange Postecoglou is the one to actually deliver a huge trophy, and then you're still getting sacked for it. I just, from the outside in, if I were a Frank, if I were an Iraola, any of the managers that we're linked with, I wouldn't come near Tottenham Hotspur, because it just shows that they have unrealistic expectations. They expect you to work within a Levy budget. They expect you to deal with all the shenanigans that Levy puts in your way. They expect you to also, I guess, challenge in the league at a really high level, and then also, win huge major trophies at the same time. It just seems like an unrealistic expectation type of club. And then I would stay as far away from Tottenham Hotspur if I were a manager that had everything going for me. If I was on the up, why would you come here? So I think if we can keep Postecoglou to avoid, this poison chalice reputation, I think we have to keep him no matter what if he wins this trophy. I said, I wouldn't give him the whole season like other people have sort of suggested. I think you have to maybe, see how he fares, in the first 10 to 20 games. I can understand how you feel like, Dave, that's not actually enough time to really judge properly again, but that's just the way I look at it. I look at it from the outside in, not from the perspective of a Spurs fan. Granted, I know there are plenty of concerns that we have with Ange. I just look at it from, if we really want to entice top level managers, surely we have to have some sort of leeway, some sort of leash to give these guys. And we're also forgetting, like, a lot of managers in the first place stay as far away from this club because of Daniel Levy. So it just seems like
if he wins the Europa League,
we have to show some type of, what do you call it? Just principles of some kind, you know.
If he wins the Europa League, is he not a top level manager, or is it because we've
would be,
beaten people?
Definitely shuts up a lot of people, that's for sure.
But just to jump in there, I mean, we say who would come afterwards. Well, let's not forget we sacked Mourinho a week before the final of the cup, and still managed to get a manager like Conte to come through the door.
I think that, but then that was, the reputation's only gotten worse since then. The reputation.
Point is, though, you still look back, but you look at, I mean, I know it's a totally different scenario, and at the time, you look at Chelsea, you look at Real Madrid, they can win the league, they can win the Champions League, and they still sack. There will always be a good manager willing to come in, no matter what we do.
The thing is, right, I hear you. But I think, you know, to Jack's point, you got to understand why we ended up with Postecoglou in the first place. You know, we
were after Arne Slot, Luis Enrique, Thomas Tuchel, like, you know, all these top level managers.
And you look at Arne Slot, you know, he would have compared Tottenham and Liverpool. He said, well, they've got a better spine of the squad. They'll give me the backing that I need, you know, and they're more geared up for success than what Tottenham Hotspur were. So that's why we end up with someone like Postecoglou in the first place. And eventually that reputation will catch up on you. And what you will end up doing is you will end up bringing managers that are signing on for the pay packet and couldn't give a shit about the job they're doing and just waiting to get sacked, rather than a guy that actually wants to come in here and try and change the club's fortune.
That's more about the history of Levy than sacking a manager after he's won a cup. That is two totally different scenarios. I mean, if we backed our managers and we still sacked a manager after winning a cup, I think managers would look set. But the scenario you're saying there is they didn't come to us because we sacked managers because they've been successful. A lot of managers might not want to come to us purely because they know they won't get the full backing that they expect to be a top team. I mean, we are not a club that is going to spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds every single window to get one or two top players in. And this is why a lot of managers won't come to us. Now, if Ange goes and wins the cup, and look, if he stays next season, brilliant. I'll back him. I have no problem with him being here. I don't necessarily think he's the greatest manager for our team, but if he brings success, he has done more than all these top managers that were supposed to bring a success. And I think he deserves another chance. I just don't think he will be here next season. But look, tonight is not about whether he's here next season or not. Tonight is all about us winning the cup.
Correct.
No, 100%. And look, let's move on from the Ange Postecoglou situation. But what I will say is, you know, I wonder will winning it sort of repair that fractured relationship with the fan base. They're already singing his name out there in Bilbao quite loud last night. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I've always maintained we are very, very fickle as football fans. Very, very fickle. Big up, Nick. You go and enjoy yourself there down in Flannery's tonight. Have a great night, my man. And come on, you Spurs. Let's get the job done. King Huddle's absolutely spot on, by the way. This German referee tonight. He refereed, I think, in the fourth tier of German football and got done for corruption years back. So I don't know how he's ended up making a UEFA Cup final. Maybe the play is already in place. Let's wait and see. But you're absolutely spot on there. We've got Eddie in the house says, oh no, we've already got this one. Where am I? Sorry, I am at Paul Markey says want us to win, but you do that with 11 players and no passengers. Unfortunately, we have one in Tinkerbell Johnson. I mean, look, let's have a conversation around Johnson since Paul Markey's brought it up. I mean, look, in fairness to the guy Paul Markey, look, I do understand where you are coming from with your opinion on Brennan Johnson. I sort of share the same opinion. I don't think he works hard enough out of possession. I don't think he's the type of guy that will run himself into the ground for the greater good. And I do question a lot of his quality in possession. However, despite all that, man, he has contributed, 17 goals and 7 assists across the campaign. He is the club's current top goal scorer. Yep. So, you know, he's doing something right. I mean, look, Drew, we'll let you and Dermo, we'll let Dermo come in on this and then back to Drew, because I know you two guys are very, very big fans of Brennan Johnson. I mean, guys, all we need tonight is another tap in at the back post, and I'm shameless. I will sing his name. You know, I might even stretch to calling him Brenaldinho if he scores a winner tonight with a tap in. But do you think he can step up again tonight and prove that was wrong?
Yeah. I told you in the semi-final he scored, and he did. I told you Johnson go in the back post. I said it on the pre-match pump-up. You watch Johnson tonight go in the back post and score. What happened 3 minutes into the game? Johnson was at the back post. We went 1-0 up at home to Bodo. So Johnson will. I've said it in my pre-match as well. He's going to win tonight. Then everyone's going to have to come and apologize, like Muhammad Ali style. They have to come in and apologize to Drew and the Dermatron. They will have to come and apologize, because we know this lad can do it. But no, look, I agree that he does need to do more in his game. I will put my hands up and agree with that. I think you have to acknowledge that he needs to improve.
Yeah.
And I do feel he's a late developer, and I do feel that he will get that, and I do feel he will come good in time. But he is our top goal scorer in this club. 17 goals, 17 assists across all competitions.
He doesn't have 17 assists.
No, 17 goals and 7 assists across all competitions. I know not a lot of people on here are Johnson fans. I know you all think he's shit. I know you all think he's not great. But he is good. He's there, and he's thereabouts, and he does what Ange wants him to do. That's what he asks his winners to do, and he does it to a T. He does need to work hard in his other bit of his game, I will grant you. But Johnson tonight will turn up and score the winner. And then me and Drew be waiting for all the apologies letters. We'll be sitting there, and we'll just be counting all the apologies. So over to you, Drew. Keep it pumped up. Keep it going.
Look, Drew, over to you. I mean, look, he's had massive skeptics like myself, Jack, Paul Markey here, prime example. At the end of the day, 17 goals and seven assists across a campaign is not bad. I looked at TNT Sport. They put all of Tottenham's goals and that all together in one run on the way to this final. He's popped up with some very important goals along this route. It was him that sort of set off the tone in the semi-final with a good header back across goal and stuff like that. I think he scored in the very first game off the bench against Karabakh, if I remember correctly as well. He stepped up along this campaign with goals. I mean, a bit of a different question towards you then, Drew. What does Brennan Johnson have to do for his contribution to be appreciated by people like me, Jack, and Paul Markey?
Do you know what? That's a good question, because I'm really not sure. Given his age, given where he's come from, the big step. I mean, with all the respect in the world to Nottingham Forest, when he moved from them to us, it was clearly and honestly, regardless of their position, I still think is a pretty big step up. And sometimes the weight of the badge wears on people. I will harp on about this, and I will probably die on this hill, that he didn't come to us in the best of shapes. He had an injury, no pre-season. And last year, through thick and thin, I think he had a fairly decent season. Now, everyone at the end of last season said, well, if he betters his numbers, at his age, if he's doing that and he's just learning, then surely that's no bad thing. And lo and behold, he's bettered his numbers. But all of a sudden, that's now not good enough. And I think we're guilty sometimes of moving the goalposts all the time, like across the board for certain things. Like if things don't fit a narrative, then it's just like, we'll just move these over here. Like I don't see anybody else calling out any other player on any other team. And I guess maybe it's just because we're so close to Spurs, right? Because we dissect them with our eyes every 90 minutes that they play. It's like, you're watching every single movement. But like you say, I mean, what numbers does he have to do to actually start getting a little bit of respect? I mean, like I say, he's 23 years old, and I've heard people try and compare him to like the likes of Gareth Bale and Mo Salah. And I'm sorry, but if you're going to compare 23-year-old Brennan Johnson to 23-year-old Gareth Bale, then I can understand it. We can have a discussion. If you're going to compare 23-year-old Brennan Johnson to 23-year-old Mo Salah, then we can have that conversation. But if you're going to compare legacy players and look at their entire career and then look at a 23-year-old still trying to learn the game and try and make some baffling comparison that I'm just not going to see, then I'm sorry, you're just not giving these kids a chance. And frankly, you're never going to. I mean, it's one of those things from my point of view. If you don't appreciate that, and you don't appreciate what he's doing now, and you don't appreciate that he has room to grow, then what are we doing? I don't get it. I will never get it. And do you know what? There's even the chance that he comes out next season and he only gets, 12 goals, 5, 6, 7 assists. And then the next season, he could get, it could be one of those where he just dips up and down, and he needs a couple of seasons to actually take off. It could be that this is his level. But you can't base that on right now. You can only base that on 2-3 years from now when he's continued to be at that level. But right now, all I see is a kid that is getting better numbers year on year. And, he's going out there this afternoon, could potentially win us a cup. And all we want to do is say, he's no good, get rid. And I made the joke. I made the joke the other day. I made the joke the other day that it was the same with Postecoglou. Like, we could be mid-high five celebration, about to lift a Europa League, and there are going to be people out there going like cheering, and mid-cheer they'll be like, "Yeah, but he's got to go, hasn't he? He's got to go."
I want to add this though. Like, he doesn't even have the most goals and assists like in all competitions, like in the team. I'm pretty sure Solanke and Sonny do, and you would probably make the case that Solanke and Sonny have had pretty average seasons, like if not even below average, like in some people's cases. So like I just feel like there actually is a bit of shifting of the goalposts the other way, Drew, where like Johnson is held to this sort of like high, like low standard where it's like, look at him, he's top goal scorer in the league. It's like, but he's like 18th in terms of the entire league in general. Like he's not even that high up in the Premier League of top goal scorers. The likes of Chris Wood and others have plenty more goal contributions than he does. And he only has like 4 assists or something in total over the course of like 3,000 plus minutes played, which really, again, for me, isn't that impressive. Like, I just don't even think, I don't think his numbers are that impressive. I don't think Sonny's numbers from this season are that impressive. I don't think Solanke's numbers from this season are that impressive. And you look at them over the course of all competitions, like even Maddison has more goal contributions than Johnson does this season. And Maddison has played definitely significantly fewer minutes than what Johnson has, like in total. So, and I feel like everyone has not had that great of a season, like, to be honest, like by the numbers. So that's just the way I look at it. Like Johnson, granted, congratulations, you're the top Premier League goal scorer for this team, but you're talking about a 17th place Tottenham Hotspur team. Like, it's not really that impressive at the end of the day. And I would say the same with Solanke. Like Solanke, I highly rate, but he's had a pretty like meh kind of season. Sonny's had a pretty meh kind of season. Like Maddison has had a pretty meh kind of season, and they have more goal contributions than he does. So I feel like we're holding these other guys to a higher standard, and we're actually seemingly having a lower standard for the likes of Johnson. I would put it the other way.
Let's not forget though, if we were talking about say 4 years ago, and Sonny had 17 goals, we'd be saying a great season for him as a winger. Johnson's got 17 goals as a winger, and we're saying he's shit. If you go back to, I think, game day 3, 4, 5, something like that, on this show, we were talking about players, and a lot of people were saying, yes, Solanke will be the top scorer. And I think me and Dermo sat here and said, no, it will be Brennan Johnson will be top scorer. And look, so far he is. Now, he's not the finished article. He's not the perfect player yet. But, I mean, I know a lot of people don't, but we defend Solanke saying his pressing game is brilliant, and he's running around and he's holding up. But as a striker, he hasn't scored 17 goals, but Brennan Johnson has, and we want to slate him off. I mean, I think the worst part of Brennan Johnson's game, and I've said it all season, is he doesn't necessarily get back to defend. But I tell you what, I hope he goes and scores tonight. I really do, because the shit that some of our fans have put him through at the beginning of the season, where he's had to turn off his social media because of getting threats and the name calling and all this lot, and people say, "Oh, man up," because you need to man up. Well, no, this is a young kid still. He's what is he, 19, 20, 21, whatever. Still a young kid. Yeah, I mean, he's still a young
22,
kid, though.
23.
He's still pretty immature. And for him to be top scorer in a Premier League team that, yeah, we might have had a shit season, but we're in a final of a Europa Cup, just shows that he's not a bad player after all, is he? He really isn't a bad player after all.
Can I just
Yeah,
make one quick comment? Just
Yeah,
very
go on.
quickly.
We'll let Dermo and Steve in, and then I do need
Sorry.
to move this on.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend 20
Just very
hours on BJ.
quickly. Way
Unless
back
my
when
missus
Gareth
will do one.
Bale first joined the club, right, and he played at left back, everyone was saying, get rid of Bale. He's shit. Get rid of him, right? Then Harry Redknapp moved him to left midfield, and then his career took off. I don't think a winger is Johnson's position. I think his position is somewhere else. And if they can find what that position is for him, and he moves in there, you may find Johnson takes off. And I'm seeing the comments of people, he's an average player. I don't care. It's about getting behind the players tonight. I don't care what people think. Get behind the players. If he scores the winner tonight, and I hope he does, he can sit there and stick two fingers up to all them fans that have slated them all
You'll
season.
be intolerable. You and Soren and Drew will be intolerable if he scores the winner tonight.
I don't know about intolerable. I mean, I think I've been pretty fair on my stance of Johnson. The one pushback I'll give to Jack is that I've just found this the Stats Center leaderboard that he's looking at this on, and the one thing you did fail to mention is that there's a lot of players on this list that are actually centre forwards. And, being as this guy is a second striker or right winger, I just don't think he's done too bad.
My point was more about goal contributions. Like, he isn't the highest in our team in goal contributions. Like, he's like fourth or fifth. And like you would say, all those guys ahead of him, are like also kind of having meh kind of seasons. Like, we haven't necessarily praised these guys for having brilliant seasons, but we seem to praise Johnson for having a brilliant season.
I thought we were praising him. I thought we were saying that actually James Maddison, when he played... Well, not you, maybe not you specifically, but James Maddison, when he's played, I've heard that he's been the difference. He's the one that unlocks doors for us. I've heard when Kulusevski plays, he's the engine. He's the one that carries us up the pitch. So I've given fair credit where it's due. I think the numbers have been evenly spread. But the question was, what does Brennan Johnson need to do to get a bit of respect? It wasn't what does Brennan Johnson do versus the rest of the team, and how does his numbers compare to them? The question was, what has he got to do? And I just think, I think what he's doing already, if year on year he were to continue to carry on in this vein, if you puts a couple more pounds on, hits the weight room a little bit, adds 2 more goals, 5 more assists next season, all of a sudden we're going, hang on a minute. Well, all of a sudden this kid's a little bit of a sleeper. And that'll be the thing. And I'm just saying, this is all hypothetical. Could absolutely go to shit and he could do nothing. But it'll be just the thing that, 2-3 years from now, he will maybe start doing that. He maybe does have the potential, and then all of a sudden this will be forgotten. He'll be like, "Oh, look at Johnson! Isn't he just this?" And I don't know, man. I think he gets a little bit of a rough ride.
Look, I think with Johnson in general, no doubt he scores goals. Brilliant, it's a good trait to have. But if you are going to play off the right hand side, you also have to produce. More opportunities for other people to score goals. You have to create. And that's where the big question comes in about Brennan Johnson. We'll take this from Paul Markey. We'll also let Stevie in, and then I'm going to keep moving on. Paul Markey says, fact, Johnson hasn't the ability to tack defenses and is too lazy to help out our defense when required. Does the term harsher strike a bell? I mean, look, Stevie, we'll let you answer this one, man, and then we will move on from Johnson. I don't want to give him all the air in the final.
Well, first off, don't get me wrong, man. I've been a harsh critic of Brendan Johnson over the course of the last couple seasons. But that being said, I also like him as a prospect as well too, because I see the ceiling. There is a potential for a good player up in there. But I also have to let folks remember that he's doing this at the Premier League level. He is developing at the Premier League level, where week in and week out he is going against some of the better defenders. And it's been a challenge, man. There's always going to be growing pains, and we've certainly seen that out of Brendan Johnson. But look at the transition from last season into this season, and look at some of the moments he's been able to dial up. Dave, I 100% agree with you. There is certainly a lot of room for him to grow to be a complete winger. But that being said, he's like 22, 23. This kid hasn't even reached his prime yet. Like, this is not a finished product yet, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I kind of align with Drew. Like, I just want to see him continue down the same path of development, but understand that the last thing that comes with any type of prospect is consistency. That's usually the last thing that comes. And one of the things that pissed me off, and I've heard this a few times, is they're comparing him to like some of the better prospects in the world, like a Yamin Lamal. And what's the excuse of him being able to hit the ground running at 17? It's like, dude, not all prospects are created equally. Some prospects do need time to come into their own game. And I just think that if Brendan Johnson continues at this pace, there is a potential for a good winger in there. But that being said, it also comes down to those that are around him, some of the managers that continue to reinforce the fact that they believe in him. That internal belief is going to do wonders for his development.
No, look, there is a case to be made. Give him another season off the back of his numbers this season and see if he can develop that other side to the game. I take the point at Forest, he played through the middle. We're asking him to play outright. But honestly, I don't think any manager of any Premier League club will ever say, Johnson, you're my main man up front. I don't think he's got the all-round physicality or the all-round attributes for a manager to ever stake himself on that night. So there is a massive element where it is on Brendan Johnson to prove he can carve out a good Premier League career at right wing. And in order to do that, he has to create more. He also, look, as a striker, sometimes strikers can be lazy. Not every team is lucky to have a Richarlison and Solanke who run their bollocks off. A lot of strikers in general are lazy, and it is something that Johnson has to factor into his game also as well. To Paul Markey's point, tracking back, helping the defence out. As a striker, you're not really focused on that a lot of time. But as a winger, you have to be able to do that. Correct. Absolutely spot on. But look, if he scores tonight, I do not give a shit. I'll be all over him. I'll pretend like Darmo, he's my favorite player. I'll be all over him. So I will. Big up Paul Markey. Really appreciate support, brother. Faz Radfar 41 Spurs says, Postecoglou. Big up, Faz. Good to see you, my man. Absolute legend. We've got this from Catman Jess, member for 45 months. Come on, you Spurs.
Crazy.
Big up, Catman Jess. Great to see you in the building. I'm pumped. We've got Daniel Field. I think the last thing you want is to embed into Andrew's mind him being sacked before a cup final. There's got to be a proper fight tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Look, I almost feel like the fact that Ange Postecoglou has took all the attention on himself, like I was saying earlier on in the show, it's took a lot of the attention off the trophy drought at Tottenham, the 17-year wait, the 41-year wait for a European final. The media aren't talking about it like they were under Pochettino heading into these games. Will Spurs end the trophy drought? Will they get rid of that hoodoo? No one's talking about it. It's all about Ange Postecoglou, and I think that will work out in our favour. I think you'll see the squad go out there relaxed, ready to go and enjoy this final rather than have the weight of the history and the expectations of the Tottenham fans on their shoulders. I think Postecoglou has done a brilliant job in deflecting that away, so that actually allows the players to go out there and perform to a large degree without that pressure or added pressure on their shoulders. Big up Daniel Field. The Big D has gifted out an Irish Hotspur membership, and so did Slur Wage. Jack, do we even know who they've gone to at this point?
The chat is just so live today. I've already lost them. Yeah. So
I just say,
if we're not as busy today, I'd probably be able to keep up, but I just haven't been. Thank you to Slur Wage. Appreciate you guys. Very, very generous.
Very, very generous, you guys. And whoever the lucky recipients are, please make sure you say thank you. I also want to take this moment. I'm sorry I can't find the comment, but Thomas Wynn, 11:23 a.m. he put this in, or Drew's time anyway. He says, Dave, can you give my dad Leslie Wynn a shout out, please? He loves your channel. Hopefully you're still tuning in. I'm sorry it took me so long to get to this. Brendan Johnson sort of derailed that a little bit, so blame Brendan, another thing to blame him for. But big up Thomas Wynn and big up to your dad Leslie as well. Hopefully you are pumped up for tonight's game. Let me know how you're watching it. DJ Samuel with the super sticker as well. Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, I can pull up this one, I think. Woot woot from DJ Samuel. Big up to you, sir. Appreciate you, man. And he's our local man, Dave, in the Enfield area and the Tottenham area as well.
Big up, DJ. I'll see you
Very
at the
kind.
Parade Friday if we win it. When we win it tonight, my man. Absolute legend. Big up. Good to see you. And good to see life is on the right course for you now. Daniel Larson, member for 37 months, tuning all the way in
Crazy.
from Norway. Big up, everyone. This is our day. Let's go and win this thing. Come on, you Spurs. And I just think in general, there's a general consensus. This is everyone feels like this is Tottenham's, years gone by, we've gone into finals. We've been worried about the curse, Spursy, etc. I don't hear any of it. I just see confidence. You look at the fans out in Bilbao, it's just a sea of white. We took over the city centre. We forced Man United onto the outskirts. We made them run. We absolutely own it. It's a beautiful sight. And it just feels like, despite all the losses that's gone on this season, everyone's confident. They think this is the time we're going to do it. Big up, Daniel. Good to see you, my man. My dad says Jack is right. They were all below average this season, but not tonight. Come on, boys. Come on. We've also got Futures Lily Bright, Futures Lily White. Richie is scoring the winner tonight, boys.
Come on.
Nice.
I've also felt that. I think I would love a Romero swung song. We're going to get onto that if we have time, because I do want to spend a bit of time talking about Sonny and also how Tottenham should approach this game. But I do have faith in my boy Richie tonight. Lee Moody says 2 hours out. Come on, you Spurs. 2 hours out from the biggest game of the season, potentially. It could be a future-defining game for Tottenham Hotspur tonight. Hopefully gets the taste of winning inside that club. The likes of Daniel Levy, the players, the staff, they all get that joy, that glee, that honor of being European championships and hopefully, European champions. And hopefully then that pushes on the drive for more success inside. Big up, Lee. We've got Q7. Even us that don't rate Johnson highly would want him to score the winner, Dermo. I would love it. Doesn't mean I'm all of a sudden going to think he's a good player. He's good at what he does. And then we've got Thomas Wynn. Dave, can you give my dad? There we are. Big up, Thomas. Big up to you and Leslie. Hopefully you are enjoying yourselves and having a great day. But look, let's keep this show moving. I'm going to talk a little bit about Son, and then at some point I will take a moment out to plug NordVPN, who've also been with us on this European journey, sponsoring us all the way through, helping Spurs fans get out to away games and still catch up on all the latest Spurs news. So we will get on and give them a shout out. But guys, I do want to take a moment to sort of talk about Sonny. Look, him and Davies, in fairness, I think they're the only two players left from that 2019 Champions League final. I mean, how important, just quickly, and we'll go to you on this one first, Steve. How important do you think their experience on this stage is in guiding the team through this Europa League final tonight?
It's absolutely massive. But I would also throw in a guy like Christian Romero, who's played in a World Cup final, and also Ange Postecoglou, who's actually coached in big matches when trophies were on the line. As a matter of fact, let's just keep it honest. Most of these players outside of those three have not experienced any type of final of this magnitude. So naturally, there's going to be some nervousness within it because you're playing on the under the biggest, brightest lights and also on the biggest stage. And so there's going to be some trepidation from these players. But that being said, the messaging from Sonny to his team pre-match to understand that this is, in a lot of ways, this is still just another 90 minutes of football. And that, because these players have never been in this situation to live in the moment, to understand, that this game may or may not come along for you guys today. So you might as well, have a good time with it. Especially, the messaging, especially from Ange Postecoglou, is going to play such a pivotal role. And not only, obviously tactically, but also the mindset, the body language of how these players are going to come out. I think we have all seen teams that are playing in their first final in quite a long time. There's always, you can see it in their body language. There's like this nervous energy to when they start. The ability for this team to come out, feeling loose and playing, and playing without that nervous energy. That's going to come down to the captaincy of this club and their ability, to send that right message and get them in the right frame of mind to be able to take that field without having to have that pressure of the moment on their shoulders.
No, 100%. And look, I've hoped they've obviously, shared the pain they carry with them since then, not getting over the line and stuff like that. I think it can be invaluable, show some of these Spurs players that basically, you don't want to carry this pain. You don't want to carry this burden. Don't leave the field the same way we did. Go out there, get the job done tonight. And I think it's good that we have them sort of players in around that have been around this occasion before and can just give players little bits of nuggets on maybe how to deal with the nerves in the build up to this game, etc. But also you mentioned Romero, which I think, you're absolutely spot on as well. He's won 2 Copa Americas, 1 World Cup.
He's played in
He's experienced in these situations, massive games, like you said, watched by millions and millions, if not billions of people. Do you know what I mean? And he still managed to step up and deliver. The players being in and around this is so vital. Look, United also have a couple, Bruno Fernandes. You've also got Casemiro there. They've also got a couple in and around the squad as well. But I do think we have a bit more of a camaraderie in ours, and hopefully that will, stand to us tonight. But I do think they should share the heartbreak and the burden that they carry and the responsibility that they carry with this squad tonight to say, look, guys, you don't want to be like us. You have a chance to be something a little bit different. I do want to bring something up in here, so just bear with me. I think it maybe answers my next question. Which was, would people start Sonny tonight? So I just want to share something with you guys, and I just wonder, is it maybe Tottenham potentially giving away that Sonny maybe is starting tonight? As you can see here, can everyone see this? Yes, of course you can. They have the Sun jersey, from the dressing room all the way through. It'll end up in Bilbao here. But does this maybe put doubt to the question marks around whether Son would start tonight or not, guys?
No, I don't think so.
Don't think so. I think they started shooting that months ago.
Does it not show that, they wouldn't put it out if he wasn't going to start? I don't think.
No, I think the reason it's done with that is look, he's our club captain. Is doesn't mean he's starting, but I think for me, I hope we win it for Sonny because he's Mr. Nice Guy, isn't he? Come on, I mean, he's been with us all this time. He's never looked for a move. He's always, whenever there's been rumours, he's always come out and said, "I'm staying." And how many of our fans have written him off this season? And you look at it and you just think, if anybody personifies Tottenham Hotspur at the moment, it's Sonny. And everybody's going on about Johnson scoring the winning goal. No, Johnson's scoring the first goal. Richie's scoring the second. Sonny's scoring the third. That smile is going to come across his face. We're all going to be crying. We're all going to be chucking beer all over the floor. And Sonny's going to lift that cup. And it's going to be all about Sonny tonight. I don't know whether he'll start, but I don't care when he comes on, if he starts, whether he comes on later on or what. He is going to be Captain Marvelous tonight. He is going to be the leader in that team. And yes, he might not be the type of captain that we want all season, but he will lead this team out tonight, and he will take us to that trophy, lift that trophy, and it's going to be a good feeling tonight.
Look, for me, Sonny deserves this more than any player in that squad. He deserves it. He's been there through the thick and thin of it all. But I keep going back to 84, and why I do that is, look, he's not fully fit, and we didn't have a fully fit Aussie idealist back in 84. He comes on, and he makes the chance for us to get the equaliser, to get back in the game. You bring Sonny on about half an hour to go, on the hour mark, let him go, fresh legs. But I think there's enough players in that team, captains in that team, that will say to them, right, just calm down. We can do this. I know Steve said Romero, but I think Van der Ven's got experience as well. All these players have experience. And one thing this team has got, what Man United hasn't got, is togetherness. They're all together. They're like a band of brothers. And I think that's what's got us onto this journey to this final. It's because of that. But look, Sonny tonight, nothing will make me happier to see Sonny lift that trophy. Nothing will make me happier. Kane wins a trophy and Sonny wins a trophy in the same season. I mean, how nice would that be? And it is the year of the bird. We're going to win it. And it's quite funny. as Dave said earlier, we've got the liver bird for Liverpool for the league, the magpie for Newcastle League Cup, the Eagles for Palace in the FA Cup, the cockerel for the Europa League. It's the year of the bird. Do you know, it is going to happen, and I can't wait. Just under 2 hours to go? Bring it on. Just please.
Yeah, you're
let
already.
the game start now. Let the game start now.
You're already seeing, the fans that are out there with their videos being put up. Spurs are marching down towards the stadium, chanting Postecoglou songs, Tottenham songs. It looks like an amazing day out. The army is out in force. It's absolutely beautiful scenes out there. Just seeing them en masse en route to the stadium. But guys, look, when it comes to Son, I do think now there is something in that social media post. I do think it alludes to that Son will start this final tonight. And to be honest with you, I disagree that he's not 100% fit. Don't get me wrong. I know he missed 7 games in the build-up to this. Came off the bench again against Crystal Palace. Didn't look great. But, I think he looked sharp against Aston Villa. Don't get me wrong. I think maybe the confidence in front of goal in terms of his final end product maybe was lacking a little bit. But in general, I thought he looked good against Aston Villa. And to be honest with you, as much as I like Tal and other players, they didn't take their opportunity. They haven't produced off that left-hand side like he has done this season. I know there's been a lot of, criticism around his form and that, but the reality is the reason why it's still a talking point is because no one else took the opportunity. We've been speaking about it, Jack, in the build-up to Premier League games. These are opportunities for people to grab their start in the final, and no one has really took that. And for me, with him being club captain, with him being in the Champions League 2019 final, I still maintain he's our best forward player, even though his standards have dropped a little. I think he start tonight. I think he's shoo-in. I think it's one of them. If he made himself fit and had put in a decent performance against Villa, he was always going to start tonight, and credit to him. But guys, I just want to say, I'm someone like Sonny. He joined Tottenham back in 2015 from Bayer Leverkusen. He's been at Spurs for a decade now, making 452 appearances, scoring 173 goals and providing 101 assists for Tottenham. Despite all the personal accolades, Son has endured nothing but heartbreak at Tottenham when it comes to silverware. Second and third place finishes in the league, runners-up medals in the Champions League and Carabao Cup final as well. Son did say in a recent interview with Korean TV, the biggest reason he stayed at Tottenham was because he wanted to do something others couldn't achieve and deliver silverware for the fans. Now, there has been plenty of transfer interest in Son over the years, but Son has always remained loyal to Tottenham Hotspur. When players of a similar quality like Harry Kane have moved on in search of trophies, Son is also has been the one that says, I'm not going anywhere. And he put a doubt to all the transfer rumors. Him himself pour cold water onto the fire. And look, I get that he's coming for a lot of criticism this season because his standards have dropped off compared to the standard that he has set maybe in years gone by. But in a world where players chase, trophies and money, how special is it that Son actually stayed? And do you think his loyalty is actually undervalued at Tottenham? Especially, when others have moved on to a large degree. Because what I mean by that is fans were very, very quick to turn on him this season the minute he dropped his standards slightly.
Yeah. I a lot on this, actually. I think Sonny has the opportunity he's already in the folklore and the history of great players at Spurs. But if he does win tonight, when we win tonight, like Soren is saying, I think he almost, takes a bit of that, extra sort of, footnote or extra bit of praise for the fact that he is the one to deliver a major European trophy without the likes of Kane by his side, no Dele Alli, no Gareth Bale. There's so many amazing players that have passed through this club that weren't, able to get over the line in some of these major games or these sort of trophy opportunities. And if he, in that very, very end of his career at this club, were to get that trophy, I think he really etches himself further into the folklore, into the history of great Spurs players. And to the loyalty point, Dave, I think we have been kind of, maybe a little taking it for granted to some degree. I think even, when it comes to even Kane to an extent, I think we're very lucky that we've had 2 amazing players that, in my opinion, world-class players on their day have actually been in love with this club. Kane loved this club. Sonny loves this club. If they didn't have necessarily that love for the club, and that sort of attachment to it in a lot of deeper ways, I think we would have probably seen them leave a long time ago, to be perfectly honest. But so we're very, very lucky that the likes of Sonny, the likes of Kane and others did stay for as long as they did, because we've had some pretty shit seasons where they definitely could have been lured and could have been attracted to go to a big, massive club and win trophies elsewhere. But they have very deep connections and very deep roots within this club. And I think we've been very lucky for it. And I think he should be rewarded for that. And to a degree, he almost kind of falls in that bracket of like maybe the Francesco Tottis, the De Rossi's, you know, Marco Reus stayed at Dortmund for a very long time. You could argue Marco Reus on his day was a world-class player at some point. There are a lot of guys that just for some reason, you know, they find this deeper connection with the club. And even though they could have moved on elsewhere, they have just these emotional attachments that just keep them there for a very long time. I could come up with other examples, but I'm trying to think of clubs maybe of a similar bracket to Spurs, you know, that don't necessarily win something every single year, but they've had a world-class player stay there for a long time. Yeah, at West Ham, that's a good point. So yeah, they're good examples, but I think he falls in that category, almost like a Francesco Totti, you know, to an extent.
And I just think for his loyalty, I'd absolutely love to see him turn up in a final tonight. Because look, you know, to the rest of the panel who haven't maybe answered us on Sonny yet, is, you know, there's still a big question mark. You know, people are worried about his form heading into this game. You know, his standards have dropped off. They wonder, is he the best option? Would he be better off coming off the bench in tonight's game and maybe being used as an impact sub later in the game with fresh legs and stuff like that? And, you know, he hasn't really turned up in cup finals for Tottenham before. It's almost like the occasion has got to him before he's even took the pitch. Would anyone make the case like Dermot he shouldn't start tonight? Or do you agree with the Messiah and reckon he should?
I would quickly disagree with you there, Dave. I think Sonny has turned up in some big games more than some of the other players. I mean, Kane never turned up, but we idolise him. You know, all the big games, Kane never turned up.
Well, Kane. I mean, I'm going to put that narrative to bed.
Look, I'm not.
Yeah,
no,
but he's Tottenham's all-time record goal scorer. So I mean,
no, I'm not disrespecting Kane. I don't mean it.
Didn't score against anyone, though, did he?
But when we're in a final and things like that, where was it? You know, he had the poorest games. And saying Sonny doesn't turn up for big games, I think it's wrong, because Sonny has turned up in some big games. And
what finals has he turned up in?
Well, we've only been in one.
No, he was in the Carabao Cup final. He didn't turn up. Champions League final.
Where was Kane?
No, that's fair enough. But, you know, Kane's gone. I'm talking about Son today.
Yeah, no, I know. But
I think I saw him at the NBA finals a couple of seasons ago.
No, I think to disrespect Sonny, you know, he's stood by this club more than some other people have, or some other players have, and I just think he deserves it. He really does. And look, everybody says, he's not as good and he's lost all his pace. Well, I'll tell you what, against Crystal Palace, he showed he's still got the pace in a couple of moments. His end passing was a bit poorer, but you know, he's been out for a while, so no, it was Villa, wasn't it? Sorry. I think he'll be on tonight. And we know sometimes in finals and semi-finals and things like that, form goes out the window because these players, suddenly either turn up or they don't. And I think he will come on tonight, whether he starts or comes on as a sub, and he will be Captain Marvelous tonight.
No, look, I hope Son starts. I think if he starts, it greatly improves our chance of getting over the line tonight for sure. I mean, who hasn't come in on this? Did Drew or Stevie say it on Sonny yet?
I think that let me just real quickly, because I'm going to splinter this bad boy like you don't know. I think that Tell has every right to be given that opportunity. And if Sonny doesn't absolutely have at least 45 minutes of just blistering all-out Sonny in him, then I don't think he should be given a start. That being said, if he does, then I can also see the reason why you would start him. And to be fair, somebody asked me what I thought of him in the last game, and I thought he was a bit meh. And I went back and watched it again. And there is something to be said. Arguably, he did look a little bit sharper, a little bit quicker on his feet. And I think maybe the foot injury that he's had has maybe just been playing a bit more of a part than we possibly thought. So I don't know. I can genuinely see both sides of it. I've personally said I'd like him to come off the bench in the last half hour.
Well, would anyone else?
I completely understand that that's negating his quality for a good 60, 70 minutes, right?
No, look, let's hand it over to Steve. I mean, Steve, I think Drew raises an interesting point. I think there's other people out there as well that would say, look, Matisse Tell has done decent enough. I think that maybe he deserves an opportunity off that left-hand side.
Well, and no disrespect to those that like Matisse Tell, but even with a declining Son, he's still probably our best forward. And of course, let's also remember that this is the final, right? And the idea is to start as quick as you possibly can. Ideally, it's to score 2 goals before we actually get to the halftime and actually put pressure on Manchester United to absolutely respond. And the only way that you're going to be able to accomplish that is to have your best players on the field, and especially considering that we're essentially going to be playing without a 10, we need as much creativity in that forward line as much as possible, being able to get on the end of runs, being able to play weighted passes into the box, being able to get into the box and be a distributor on top of being able to cross from the outside. And again, I like Matisse Tell as a prospect, but that being said, this game doesn't require an upsided prospect. It requires the experience that Sonny actually brings to this team. And I would agree with you, Dave. I actually think that Sonny's performance against Crystal Palace and Aston Villa was night and day. I think Sonny put himself in a position where he pretty much showed that he's going to be ready for this final. Yeah. Would it surprise anybody if Sonny ends up getting a goal and assist or bangs in 2 goals today and shows up properly? Probably not. But that being said, I would take the experience and the upside of what Sonny is able to give us to start through that first 45, 60 minutes, then have him come on for the final 30 minutes because, hopefully if everything goes right, then it's not going to require a super sub with 30 minutes left because Tottenham will have handled their business through the first 45 and letting their back four handle the rest.
No, a couple of things you said there. Look, we will get into a conversation around Richarlison and Solanke, in a couple of minutes, because I think it's an interesting conversation to have. But when you were talking about Son, I think the biggest point you raised there is absolutely spot on. No Kulu, no Madison, no Bergvall, no playmaker coming, in that midfield. That creativity is going to have to come from somewhere. Someone else is going to have to pick up that responsibility. Even if you play Solanke and Richarlison up front, they're not known for their creativity. Neither is Brendan Johnson. He's known for his backhand post, back post tap-ins. So realistically, all the creativity burden going forward to unlock the door actually relies on Sonny tonight, whether he likes it or not, and possibly Pedro Porro as well. He's been another big contributor in this Europa League run. But the reality is he's having to make it up from right back. If we're talking about in the final third, the majority of times it's going to have to come through Son. And if you go back and look this season, our left-hand side has been the most productive side. We do score, we create a lot from that side. It's contributed to a lot of Brendan Johnson's goals. So we need a massive game from Sonny. We have to play him. I feel unease putting the responsibility on someone like Matisse Tell tonight, 19-year-old kid. Look, we put a lot on his shoulders already coming into the football club, and he's already shown he's not at that level. He's still in his developmental stage. And I think putting him out there tonight, I just think the occasion will get to him. I think someone like Matisse Tell would be better used as an impact sub later on in the game rather than actually starting the game. I think it's huge putting everything on a 19-year-old shoulders and asking him to be that creative force, in tonight's game. So that, again, is why I also think Son starts. But look, Son has been so loyal to this football club. 10 years of service, goal or assist every 2 games he plays. He's been outstanding for Tottenham Hotspur, the service. And if anyone delivers, deserves to lift that trophy tonight in this squad, it's fucking him. But I also hope that this guy realizes the pain he had from the Carabao Cup, visibly on the pitch, crying and stuff like that. You don't want them feelings tonight. Don't leave it in anybody else's hands to get you over the line. He has to realize it's him that has to take that responsibility, and he has to take that ownership tonight. And it's him that has to lead everyone else over the line. So let's wait and see if he can step up and do that, because with Son, I do get worried around him being a very emotional character. I just wonder, would the weight of expectancy maybe get to him, maybe stutter in the moment? I hope not. I hope he actually uses that as determination to really drive on. We're going to take a couple of chats here, then I'm going to plug NordVPN, and then we're going to move on. Michael Giles says, if Ange stays on and finishes 17th with a Champions League title, would we be happy? Come on, you Spurs.
Yes.
I wouldn't be happy all the way through next season, but come the end of it, if we deliver a Champions League trophy, I'll be absolutely ecstatic. But at the end of the day, I've always said Tottenham Hotspur are a big club. We should be looking to compete across all 4 competitions, not being one off for the other, Michael. But at the end of the day, we win a trophy tonight. That's all I'm going to talk about all summer long. And when I'm 60, sitting in a chair looking back, I'm not even going to address the 21 losses. I'm just going to say, look, we're going to talk about it. address me as a European champion. If not, we're not having this conversation. Hollywood Hotspur says 3-0, all our goals in the first half. Man United fans leave hating their club, totally dejected, worst day of their lives. I mean, that would be absolutely unbelievable, Hollywood Hotspur. There'd be plenty of other Tottenham fans outside waiting to come in and fill their seats, my man. Oh, it'll be absolutely brilliant sign seeing them leave early from a final, and it really make the second half very comfortable if that was the case. But look, we're also going to talk about how we should approach this game tonight. You know, we've got a piss poor defensive record. Do we sit back? But we've scored some of the most goals in the Europa League campaign this season, scoring 27. So do we, in fact, do we actually just go for Man United earlier on, Hollywood Hotspur? I think you're suggesting with the 3-0 that we go for them nice and early, go for the juggler, go for the trope, my man.
100%.
Big up Hollywood Hotspur. Adrian Chia says, big up, lads. Never thought I'd say this, but I'm legit nervous. Do you know what, Adrian? I'm a little bit different today. I've been, look, the last 2 days I was preoccupied trying to find any route out to Bilbao and the cheapest way to get there. It sort of distracted me a little bit the last 2 days, but I woke up today, I thought, do you know what? I know I'm going to wake up with a raging stiffy, but am I going to feel nervous? Am I going to feel that sort of nervous in the pit of my stomach? I woke up today, cool, collected. I woke up, looked out, skies bright blue, no clouds. I just like Cart ATM. Today's our day. I just absolutely felt it, my man. Big up Adrian Chia. No nerves
Good
around here. I'm sort of the opinion we always go in as fans into these games very nervous, which I do think rubs off on the club and you're around it in general. I do think a change in mindset, like going into this final, believing that we are going to do it, seeing no other possible outcome, might actually just help us get over the line, my man. Big up, Adrian. Great to see you. Hopefully, you can produce a script like Hollywood Hotspur today. That'd be brilliant. Script. Neil Shafton says, all things in the past are in the past. You need everyone to be at the best self today, not the best players. This is a final. Why be down on the post? Focus on today. Stop rehearsing, rehashing the past. Come on, you Spurs.
Good to see you, Neil.
Look, I fully get what you're saying, Neil, but at the end of the day, the past is what makes days like today absolutely fantastic. It's hard to not look at the past or speak about the past heading into a game like today. But I do get what you're saying in terms of, I think more so leave your personal opinions for people inside the club right now at the door. I agree with that. But you got to acknowledge the past, my man. It's the reason why I'm so hurt and the reason why I'm going to unleash so much emotion tonight. And we've got Eugene S. Can't repeat mistake we made with Kane in the Champions League final. I mean, does anyone see this decision with Son comparable? I mean, Jack, we'll go with Drew and we'll get Drew in on this as well. He's shaking his head, and then I'm going to plug NordVPN and kick on.
I think it would be similar if we had a guy that, let's say, was in flying form right now that you would be leaving out of the team. I don't think there really is. Like in recent performances, there hasn't been someone that's really stood out and has been carrying this forward line. There's no one that's been scoring any hat tricks or braces recently in games. Like I like Odegaard, but I think he's been pretty meh, in recent games. I think the same thing of Tell. Johnson's actually been better than Odegaard and Tell, I would say, in recent performances, but he's not been ripping up any trees either. And then Richarlison might be like, probably in terms of form, maybe like the best one, but still, like, has it really been that incredible, like compared to what Lucas Moura was doing? I'd say no. So that's what makes it to me really not that comparable. There's no one that I think you'd be leaving out of the team that's like just been absolutely carrying this team like a Lucas Moura did, in that semifinal. There's no one that's been scoring goals for fun recently. So I think you just have to go with, in theory, your best, most high quality forward player. And that is Sonny. And also with the creative void that you brought up, Dave, there isn't really anybody in that forward line that is exceptional at creating chances for others, probably other than the likes of maybe Sonny to some degree. So I think it's really just not that comparable because there's no one that's really been ripping up any trees in recent games that you would be leaving out of the team, unless there was, then maybe it would be comparable.
No, I agree with you as well. When it comes around to it as well, I think Sonny has proved his fitness in the build up to this game. Harry Kane
didn't look as rusty as Kulusevski did, or he didn't look as rusty as Romero has. Like a lot of the guys have come back from injury, they've looked very rusty when coming back. Romero especially, but I think Sonny didn't really show that. I think he looked actually pretty bright in the last game.
No, I agree. I mean, Drew, you were shaking your head as soon as you read this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with it. I feel like we can't be romantic about it. And if there's any chance that he just can't give I mean, that's the thing, right? If there's any chance he can't give 100% for the minutes that he's on the field, then that's where my problem would lie. I mean, if he's, proved his fitness, and like I said, I went back and watched the last performance again, and there was an argument that he was looking kind of lighter on his feet. And there's always the hope, like when I say I would like, that if he's good to go, then absolutely play him, because you're going to, he's going to give you 100%, even if fitness wise he's only at 90s. That makes sense. Like, he's gonna put everything out on the field, even if what he can't give is everything. So I get that, and I get the fact that he does have the ability. I know Jack says nobody's been pulling up trees, and that's absolutely true. I mean, this team's, like we said, for the most part been horrific this year. But the thing is with players like Sonny is that he has the potential maybe to just pull a Leicester, right? And we could be sitting here and he could all of a sudden just have an absolute blinder and just put two worldies, one in each corner, and make us all look silly. So I just said, at the end of the day, I think we all just want what's best for the team. I mean, it's not about, last thing it's about is proving anybody right, anybody wrong. We all just want, I mean, and I think as well, what I'd really like, and I know it's the final and you just do it by hook or by crook, but I'd really like everyone to go out there and just make just do us proud and just like put on a bit of not a show, but put on a performance, right? You kind of, if it is Sonny and if he does start and we are going to win this thing, it would just be fairy tale for him to be absolutely just fleet of foot, like the old Sonny for 60, 70 minutes and actually just put a rocket up him. Like, and I guess, from that's the romantic side of me that wants that. But I don't want his inclusion to be at the detriment of our performance, because I think we've just had that too many times this year.
No, look, that's absolutely fair enough. And look, I think ultimately that's a decision that, Postecoglou is going to have to come to tonight. As well, it comes, how much minutes does he have in his leg? Does he have 70 minutes? If he doesn't, and it's only 45 minutes, then all of a sudden that switches it. You obviously go with a player that has longer in his legs and then brings Sonny off. So it'll be very interesting to see. But Spurs have put out another post inside the dressing room. Some interesting choices of jerseys up there that they've chosen to put out there. I'll bring up in just a moment, guys. But I do want to take a moment to show some great appreciation, guys, to NordVPN, who have been very kind to sponsor your boys on this Europa League journey, and to see out the second half of this season. They've come on board and it really helps out. So big up NordVPN. So I guess the first question everybody has, Dave, what is a NordVPN, or what is a VPN in general? Well, it allows you to change your IP address and sort of bounce your location over to other countries, and basically allows you to access sporting occasions that might not be live or being able to be shown in the country you live in. It allows you to shop around for different subscriptions and stuff like that and get the best price available to you. We've got 3 p.m. blackouts now in the Premier League, which means Tottenham will not be shown at times. So it means you are going to have to go around to different countries and find games, where these games are being played. And that's exactly what a VPN helps you do. Not only that, if you want to book holidays, flights, events, etc., in different countries, it's always good to have a VPN to see if you can get it cheaper using that as well. Sometimes it does help in that regard as well. So there's many good positives to having a VPN, guys. And not only that, it keeps you safe while you are online. Public Wi-Fi. A lot of people have been traveling all over Europe this season with Tottenham, and with their NordVPN, they've been comfortable sitting in the likes of airports, buses, hotels on all these open Wi-Fis, because NordVPN does have a threat protection feature that does protect you from viruses, malicious malware, and phishing sites as well. Not only that, but it is the fastest VPN in the world. I mean, at Tottenham, we're always looking for the best players. We're always looking for the best outcomes. So why not get yourself the very fastest NordVPN in the world? No buffering or lagging while streaming, and stops your ISP bandwidth from throttling up and down, which ultimately causes the lagging. So there's a lot of built-in things with this VPN that actually enhances your experience as well. And it's basically, premium cyber security for the price of a cup of coffee per month, and you'll absolutely regret it if you don't take up this option now. And also, one NordVPN account can be used on up to 10 devices. So if your family's traveling and you just want to keep them quiet, hand them the tablets, put on the VPN, put on their programs that you're used to watching at home, and hey presto, you've got a quiet car ride to wherever your destination is. So, guys, I can't sell it anymore for you. I'm basically telling you all the good things about it. I think it's brilliant for people that travel a lot, travel with work, etc. I think you need one. I think everyone should always have one in their back pocket with the way the modern world is going. So if that is something that you would like to avail of, please head over to NordVPN.com. Try our exclusive deal. Try it risk-free now with a 30-day back money guarantee. And if you don't want to take the 2-year option that we are giving you at a discount, then there are other options available. So make sure you get across and check that out. Big up NordVPN. Hopefully you can help us get over the line as well. It means then I can just randomly put myself to all these different countries and watch Spurs celebrate and listen to different commentary. It'd be absolutely wild. So make sure you get across on that. But guys, I do want to bring up this. This is something that is...
Just quickly, thank you, Dave, for doing that. Dermatron and Stevie are saying they have to go.
Yes.
So please, everybody, check out Dermot's channel, and then I'm also putting in stateside footy as well, and just memento. But thank you, Tron. Thank you, Stevie boys, for your another final contribution from you guys. Thank you guys so much.
I just want to leave. I just want to leave this final note before I go. We will rise. We will win. We are Tottenham Hotspur. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely love that. Short and sweet.
Yep, and I do want to thank you guys, both you, Jack and Dave, for having me come on the one of the bigger pre-match buildups of the season. So I'm definitely grateful. But before I go, I would be remiss if I didn't say that we will win 3-1 today. Goals by Solanke, Sonny, and Pedro Porro. But Porro will have 2 assists as well, and he wins my man of the match.
I'm going for 4-0. I'm not having anyone outdoing me. The Dermatron's going for 4-0. And also, look, I've done these all season, guys, with you guys, and I wouldn't miss this for anything. I've been here for every pre-match, and I've loved every single minute of it. I'm sad Sunday's going to be the last one before next season, but I'm going to miss it. But thank you guys for having me on all this season and let me have my say and let me have a chance to get out what I think. And thank you to you. You both been there in the good times and the bad times with me. You're both brothers, and I can't thank you enough. You're an inspiration for my channel, so thank you guys very, very much.
Look, I appreciate it. Just before we let you go, look, I'm conscious. I don't want to turn this into one big jerking circle here where we all lap each other up.
Why not?
I want to say a massive thank you to yourself, Dermot. You know, for you being available all this season. I really appreciate the time and the effort that you've given up to come and do this. So really appreciate that, my man. Hopefully we can get over the line for you and Stevie as well. Stepping in later on in the season, you know, really appreciate you stepping in as well. Getting up at all hours as well at times. So I really appreciate that, gentlemen. Go and enjoy your show. Hopefully we'll be fucking rejoicing after and singing.
Come on, you Spurs. In Ange Postecoglou, we trust.
So lads, there you go.
Class as always. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Cool as Esky forever.
See you later, boys. And the old lad says the fans are pouring into the stadium, singing their hearts out. Come on, that they are. It's a beautiful sight, that. It's an absolute beautiful, beautiful sight. It's just one big army. It just, honestly, I'm almost sick that I'm not there. But look, you know, we can still get the job done. Dulai says, Spurs win 2-0 or 3-1. Let's go. We got our back five and their attack is lacking. Can't see us losing. Well, look, that back five has been absolutely crucial. You know, in the four games in the quarterfinals and the semifinals, they kept 2 clean sheets. You know, they're instrumental in getting us to this final. And if they can remain solid tonight, they give us that platform that we need to be able to kick on and go and win this game. It's as simple as that. So we need a massive game from Vicario. I don't want to see him flapping at any crosses. I want to see him coming out assured, confident, knee up in the air. Doesn't matter if you're going to give someone a new nose job. I don't care. Come out and be confident. Destiny Adogi, he's been brilliant, you know, the last little while. Can he replicate that as well? Paro being absolutely instrumental this season. 49 games for Tottenham Hotspur. Who says players at this club can't stay fit, eh? And not only that, I think, 4 goals and 9 assists or something for a right back? Not bad. We need a massive game from him. And then you've got Rambam. Look, there's a lot made around his future. Hopefully, even if it is his last game, I will be emotional, but hopefully he can leave on a swan song, leave on a high. And then Mickey van der Ven. I mean, it'd be phenomenal for him. You know, he doesn't look like he's going anywhere time soon. If he can come out of this with a medal around his neck, he'll kick on as well. But I almost feel like if we can win tonight, it almost gives Romero a lot more reasons to stay at Tottenham Hotspur. So let's wait and see on that, Dulai. But really appreciate the support. But guys, I do want to bring, I think, we'll bring this one up. I do want to go through some of these interesting choices of jerseys here from the club. We'll bring them up. The pictures.
Sorry, I was just refreshing one more time to see if maybe the
No, you're all
posted.
good. It'd be interesting. I wonder, are they giving us a prelude to maybe something in the starting lineup? But you've got Richarlison, Udabur, Bissouma, Vicario,
Sonny,
Son,
and
and
Solanke.
Solanke. So I just wonder, and it says inside the dressing room. I just wonder, is there maybe a chance Udabur comes in here and one of the other players is dropped? It'd be interesting to see. But guys, I mean, how do we think the midfield is going to shape up tonight? Because we are missing, Jack, if you just want to randomly find, just type in Tottenham Bilbao and let's, you can bring up stuff there while Tottenham are fans walking to the stadium and some footage while we're having a chat here and waiting for the lineup to come out. But I mean, guys, how do we think the midfield is going to shape up? No Bergval, no Madison, no Kulusevski. You've seen in the Aston Villa game, Postecoglou tried something a little bit different, going with sort of, so you call it what you want. You can call it a 4-2-4 or 4-4-2, whatever you want. But, he sort of went with just two midfielders rather than having that third midfielder. Do we think we're going to see something similar today with Solanke and Richarlison both leading the line? Or do we think Papa Matasar will come in and it's a non-conversation?
Sorry?
Right. Do you know, I really don't know, because I kind of think that he's going to play it quite tight. But then whenever we've said that, he's gone all out. And then whenever we assume he's going to go all out, he's played tight. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what. I kind of see it being a Bissouma and Benton Kerr sort of holding, and then, trying to get maybe Richarlison and Solanke up front with Son and Odebear on or something like that. It could be a total surprise tonight. I've got to the point where I don't want to try and speculate what Ange Postecoglou is going to do anymore, because whatever we all come up with, he seems to do something a little bit different. But
here we go. Lineups out, gentlemen. Lineups out.
Oh, let me get
it. Come on.
Let's wait and see. Yeah,
Sorry.
if you people are saying the lineup's out. Yes, it is out.
Here we are. Bring him up on screen, Dave, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Or just bring up my thing. Thank you.
Yeah. Here we are. The lineup is out, guys. So you've got Fenin Vicario in goals, Pedro Porro at right back, Romero and Van de Ven at centre back, Destiny Udogie at left back. We've got Bissouma, Bentancur, and Sarr in the midfield. So that clears it up. It will be a midfield tree with Johnson off the right, Solanke through the middle, with Richarlison off the left. So people are right. Son does not start tonight. Huge call. Let me know how you feel about that in the chat, guys. No, Son, Richarlison has retained his place. Yep. I will say, to be fair, I do think Richarlison does deserve to start tonight. I just thought Postecoglou would have went 4 across the middle and same Matasar a little bit. So, look, in fairness, I think Richarlison does deserve to start tonight. It'd be interesting to see how he gets on. I think maybe are we trying to look to start fast like we did against Bodo Glimt? Ball down the right-hand side, ball in the box. Richarlison heads it across. Johnson taps it home. But that brings me on to the question, guys. I mean, we'll go to Drew and Soren. I mean, what's your thoughts on the lineup here from Postecoglou? Is it the right lineup to be able to go and win this game? And also, how do you think we should approach this game tonight? Do you think we should, like I said, we've scored 27 goals across this Europa League campaign. Should we stick to coming out of the furlongs nice and quick, being aggressive, pressing, looking to create a lot of opportunities and put Man United under severe pressure? Or would you like to see us take maybe a bit more of a cautious, pragmatic approach, feel our way into the final without giving anything silly away?
I feel like we could probably do a little bit of both. I mean, the back five, I think, honestly, the back five on its day is arguably as solid as any back five in the top 5 European leagues on its day. So I just don't have any issues there, really. I like the Bissouma Bentancur. If we can do the whole pragmatic thing where if you've noticed in the last two games, especially Frankfurt, whenever the fullbacks went forward, you saw Udogie or Bissouma peel out and make sure that the space that they were leaving was covered. And so long as they keep doing that and they stay disciplined in the back, I really don't mind the front four just trying to figure it out, you know, because not everything's going to be the same. Not every pattern of play is always going to work. The one thing I can understand is Solanke and Richarlison both being in there from the point of view of their three centre-backs, instead of now just gobbling up one person, have now genuinely got two people to worry about. The concern with playing Sonny is that if you're playing Sonny, Solanke and Johnson and you're playing against three centre-backs, I'm sorry. I feel like Sonny and Solanke and Johnson, to a certain extent, although he's got a bit more pace, are all just going to get swallowed up. So I think to have Richarlison and Solanke in there, Richarlison probably putting himself out a bit, being a bit of a bully, and I think you'll probably see him going probably as close to Maguire defensively as possible to mark him out.
True.
And then, because then that way you've got our centre-backs have only got to worry about their forwards, right? If you have Sonny on there, you've got our centre-backs worrying about their forwards and having to worry about Maguire. With Richarlison in there, I think you negate that problem. So I like it, man. I think it's strong. I think Sarr is potentially good to run and grab any sort of rebounds. One thing I really would like to see is us taking some shots from outside the box,
with
or at
Onana.
least testing Onana, because he's going to spill something. So
Point.
I don't know, man. I quite like it. I'm down for it. Let's have it.
No, look, I think you're right. I think the plan is to like bully that back line a little bit, to be honest. You look at Man United's back line, I think it's Onana in goals, Maguire, Yoro and Shaw centre backs, Dorgu left back, Mazraoui right back, Casemiro and Bruno in the midfield, Mount and Ahmad either side with Højlund through the middle. So, you know, I definitely agree with you. You know, that back line is there to get at and there to bully. It'd be interesting to see if Richarlison can cause a nuisance enough. But I would argue, I think he's been very good since his return. You know, he's contributed regularly, goals and assists, causes a big problem. Look, tonight's his night. Almost all them years of injuries, you know, frustrations being pent up. Tonight's the night to unleash that, Big Rich. Let's fucking go. On to you, Soren. What's your thoughts on this lineup, my man?
Yeah, no surprises. That's the team that's basically got us here. I just think that it's a sensible team. He's packed the midfield where, you know, we've got to hold that midfield and back line. We won't concede. I've said it for the last week. We're going to be 3-0 up by half time, and we're going to win 3-1. And yeah, I think, look.
How do you think we approach this game, Soren?
I think we'll be quite cautious, but, you know, have a lot of ball retention. I think with them three at the front, especially Richie and Solanke, there's going to be a lot of pressing. Bentancur, Bissouma, Sarr, I don't think he presses as much, but he cuts a lot of space out. I just think this is a team that, you know, we've got a couple of big guys up front, so I kind of see Vicario playing long instead of just tippy-tapping at the back. I think there probably won't be as many scary moments at the back.
I agree with that.
I think, you know, there'll be a lot more balls going forward, and hopefully Solanke and Richarlison can hold it up and Johnson runs onto it. I think, like we've just said, perhaps let's hope he just hits a couple from outside the box. That then allows Johnson to run in, Solanke to run in, Richarlison to run in. Richarlison's in there for his dirty play. We know that. Look, United can get rattled. I don't know. I just see this being the winning team. Sonny to come on probably 60, 70 minutes for Richarlison and score the third goal. So, no, that don't work, does it? Because I've just said we're going to be 3-0. Oh, who cares? Look, we're winning it. Oh, you know, doesn't matter what the score is. I'm quite happy with that. I tell you what, I think the guy who's got to have a big game in that lot is Bissouma. Bissouma, you know, for him to be picked in the final after this season's performances, he owes us a big performance tonight. And I think I could see him absolutely commanding it tonight if he doesn't do something stupid. I could see him being a big player.
If he helps us get over the line tonight, I'll take balloons with him, you know, going into next season. No problem with that.
Balloons on us.
Whatsoever. Yeah, honestly, balloons will be on us. We'll provide him with the balloons and the helium. You know, look, you're absolutely spot on. He's the one I worry about a little bit in that midfield. He's prone to lose his head, make mistakes. You know, you're absolutely spot on. But he's also proven on his day he can be absolutely influential in that midfield. He could dominate and boss it. So hopefully we get Bissouma tonight instead of Balloonsuma tonight. That'll be absolutely brilliant. But something you said there as well, I think you're absolutely spot on. And I think, you know, we are going to look to maybe bypass our midfield instead of play through it an awful lot. I think with Sarr, with Bissouma, there is a potential for us to get that ball turned over in there tonight. You know, they can be a bit sloppy on the ball. So I do think with Richarlison coming into that forward line over Son, I think you're right. I do think we might look to play a bit more longer, a bit more direct. I think you're absolutely spot on there. But also, Shawnee Mannix makes a wonderful point here. He says this lineup gives us the press that got us here. And I think you're absolutely spot on. I think it's absolutely crucial for us. You know, you go back to that Frankfurt game away, you know, Bodo Glimt, and even in the home games, many people were sort of like, Tottenham played more pragmatic. And it's like, no, we didn't play more pragmatic. We just played a different style. We actually went and pressed them. If you press a team, that's not pragmatic. That's defending from the front. That's trying to force the issue, you know, and that's what we done, you know. Frankfurt away from home, instead of sit off them, allow them to create chances. And that's where the problem comes in. When we sit off them, we allow them to play it through the press, you know, and we just let them put balls in the box. That's where our problems come in. But, you know, when we get on the press and we force the ball back to the goalkeeper, we force them to go along. Romero and Van de Ven turn that over all day long. But also, you look at some of them Man United players in the back, like Maguire, you know, Onana. They're prone to mistakes in possession as well. So I think it's the right thing to get on the press and get at them and force them back. Shawnee Maddox, absolutely great point. And then Adrian Tria also says, to hell with anxiety, love the lineup. Come on, you Spurs. Look, hopefully this is the lineup that will get us over the line, that will deliver us our first European trophy in 41 years. We're going to go around the panel. Also, you guys at home, put in the chat. I'm not really going to ask for a score prediction, guys, but what I will ask is, if you were in that dressing room moments before this team walk out tonight, knowing that there's 17 years of hurt since our last trophy, what would you say to the players walking out onto this pitch tonight to inspire them? We'll start with you. We'll start with Soren and work our way up.
I was hoping you wouldn't come to me first.
Your brother might take it off you.
I don't know. I would just stand there and say, this is your night. If you know, time to believe. You are Premiership players. You play for Tottenham Hotspur. Go out there. Think of the fans. Think of the club. Think of yourself as professional footballers, and just leave everything on the pitch. And if you believe enough, you will be lifting the cup at the end of the night. And this is the mighty Tottenham Hotspur, and it's our time. Believe in yourselves. Leave it on the pitch and come home triumphant. We are going to win tonight, and you are the guys that are going to be legends in this club for the next 20, 30, 40 years. Just go out there and do it. Just believe. Believe.
Absolutely love that. And I think believing is half the battle. You know, if we can get that into their psyche, you're going to see 11 caged animals running out there tonight, which I'm absolutely excited for. Drewski, on to you, my man. What would you say to these bunch of players heading out there tonight? Some of them might never, ever get back here again.
Well, that's probably the way I'd go. You know, like, you got to take this opportunity as much as you can, because 41 years? You know, so these players have got a chance to make people that are twice their age, you know, feel something again for this club. And I just, you know, there's going to be, you know, people out there that are going to have people with them to enjoy it. There's going to be people thinking of people that aren't with them anymore enjoying it. And there's a chance for these guys to really, really make some history that other teams won't necessarily be able to make. You know, Manchester United, if they win this, they don't make the sort of history that we're about to make.
Yeah.
They don't make the same impact, you know. So you know they've really got a chance to do something special. So go out there and show show them how good you actually are. Prove some of us wrong, you know.
Absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Jack, you want anything you want to say, or do you want to save it for the watch along?
No, I would say to them, opportunity
Less
to be
than an hour.
opportunity to be remembered forever. You saw the likes of Perryman lifting the trophies. They have videos of that. You know, this is your chance to be in those videos, those compilations, you know, of just showing the great teams of the past. No one will remember, in my opinion, from decades from now, how the Premier League went or anything like that. You'll be remembered because you'll be in those photos. You'll be in those videos of a team raising their armpits, raising their arms, and holding up a trophy. The opportunity to be remembered forever, the opportunity to be legends of this football club. And as well, you know, how many finals do you really actually make in your career? You know, they don't come that often, so take advantage of it when you are in a final. This is your chance to look back on your career and feel like I've actually won something of major importance and value. That's what I would say. Opportunity to be remembered forever.
Exactly. And what I would probably play along the lines of that as well, I'd say, look, guys, there's many people that are born every day and come onto this planet, and there's many people that die, and all they are at the end of it is a name on a gravestone. You have a chance to leave a legacy. You have a chance to be remembered. You have a chance to be in history. No matter how long you've passed away, you will always be remembered. Your name will always be brought up in shining lights. You leave a legacy. You leave, you know, something for millions of people out there around the world. Also, you know, you look at your family, you know, your wife, your kids, the sacrifice they make, you know, along the journey with you. You know, you have a chance to make it all worth it for them. You know, your kid, what legacy do you want to leave for him? And then lastly, your parents, you know, everyone that made the sacrifice for you to get to this point. And then I'd point at Son and Davies and I'd be like, look, these guys have carried this weight, this burden with them, and they've had multiple opportunities and never got over the line. Look at the pain they carry day in, day out. You don't want to be like that. You have a chance to leave a legacy and potentially change this club's future moving forward for at least the next decade. So go out there, Carte DM, seize the day, seize the opportunity. But guys, that's it from us. Before we do head off, though, I want to say a massive thank you to Soren and to Drew. You know, Drew gets up at all hours of the morning on the weekends, even in despite the 20-odd losses, still to make sure he wants to do this. And he's being persistent. I said to him, look, Drew, don't blame me if you want to take a day off or a weekend off, if you want to skip a couple. No, Dave, I want to be there. You know, he's also gone through a lot of hard times this season as well. And I just want to say it takes a massive effort on his half to be here and make this happen. And I think many people enjoy your contribution to this, Drew. So I want to say a massive thank you to you, to Soren as well. You know, this guy as well, he's going through a very hard time as well. You know, he's got a relative in hospital that, you know, isn't doing so great, but still finds time every Europa League night on the Thursdays, midweek, on the weekend to still do this. Not only that, he tries to feed the nation. He's up at work for all hours, gets home straight away, he's on here. And this guy also has a family to maintain as well. So I want to also commend the effort that he's put in to also be here for every single one this season. So I want to say a massive thank you to you guys on the panel for what you've done this season for us. It's been absolutely brilliant. To you guys at home, look, it's been tough. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. We've loved each other this season. We fucking hated each other this season. You know, we've agreed, we've disagreed, we've fallen out, and we've come back in love again. At the end of the day, winning something like tonight makes it all fucking work. And I want to say a massive thank you to you guys at home. Losing 20 games this season, listening to people that maybe you don't agree with their opinions sometimes. I've been there. It can be very, very fucking frustrating. You're almost screaming and shouting at the TV. But you guys are still turned up in your fucking numbers. And I really appreciate you guys. Just like the Spurs fans that went out there today, you guys turn up in numbers week in, week out, every single game. So thank you very much, guys. And then lastly, I want to say thank you to the people that have gone the extra mile today in terms of supporting this channel. It really does help kick us on and help us sustain being able to do this. Dermatron, big up. Wemberley 1, really appreciate it. Georgie Hill, Eddie, Lee Harvey, James Coffey. We've got Levy Towers, Mr. Maddox, Eugene. We've also got Faz Radfar, Davy Shire, Artist T, Paul Markey, Catman Jess, Daniel Field, The Big D, Schlurwage, DJ Samuel, Daniel Larson, Jesus Christ, Michael Giles as well, Hollywood Hotspur, Adrian Chia, Dulai, Who else have we got here as well? And then Adrian Tree also comes in and says, Man United are not press resistant. Let's press them hard. Look, that's exactly what I want to see, Adrian. I want to see us, gloves are off. I want to see us go out, put caution to the wind, and act like we belong here. We believe we're going to win this, and go at them earlier on, put pressure on them, and see if any of them Man United players want to tap out. Maguire done it years ago, getting sent off against Lamela. We pumped them 6-1. Fernandes done it earlier on this season. The omens are there. Put it on them. One of them will bow out under the pressure, Adrian Chia. We've also got Rowan as well, member for 23 months. Much love, everybody. Let's do this. Come on,
Rowan.
Spurs. So, guys, we are going to wrap it up there. That wraps up our Europa League final preview. We've talked about tactics, emotion, legacies, legends. Now it's over to the team in Bilbao. This could be the night we stop looking backwards and finally all of our focus can be on moving forwards. I want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in, to the panel for their insights, and to all the Spurs fans worldwide who helped make this possible. Wherever you're watching from, hold that belief, because tonight might just be the night we get it done. Come on, you Spurs. See
Come
you
on,
back
you
here in half an
Spurs.
hour for the watch along. Let's fucking go.
Come on, the boys. Come on, you Spurs.
Goes.
We sang in Spain.